All right, this update is brought to you by Indeed.com. We'll start with the Aztecs. They beat Wyoming last night, 81-65. Next up for the Aztecs, they'll take on Colorado State in a week in Colorado State. Hall of Fame announced yesterday.
Fort Collins.
Well, at Colorado State.
Would you be like Michigan's playing Penn State at Penn State? Yeah, I guess you would. Okay, yeah. Carry on.
I'm going to off to a great start. Hall of Fame announced yesterday 3 new members, Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, and Adrian Beltre. And the Raiders today announced their new GM, Tom Telesco. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 1 of Jon and Jim. We are with you until 6 p.m., assuming we can put up with each other for the next 3 hours. It is Jon and Jim. Sorry, I apologize for interrupting you.
It's been 3 minutes. You already called me an idiot.
Well, right, that is true. But we have Janet Jackson tickets today to give away?
Yes.
We will during Trainwreck Radio. Okay, Janet Jackson, Nelly, coming to San Diego. We'll give those tickets away. The reason I kind of wanted to critique you is I oftentimes get Colorado State and Air Force confused in terms of where they are. Colorado State's in Fort Collins and Air Force is in Colorado Springs. To me, that's super confusing and easy to crisscross. So I'll do that same thing. I'll be like, oh, the Aztecs are in Colorado State, but that sounds a little weird to me.
Okay.
Anyway,
they play Colorado State at Colorado State.
So wouldn't you just say they play at Colorado State?
Like they're going to
like San Diego State plays at Colorado State on Tuesday, as opposed to saying San Diego State plays Colorado State at Colorado State.
Or you could say, does it matter? You know,
it really doesn't.
They're playing Colorado State on the road.
This is the state of where we are in sports talk today. By the way, J.R. Tolver is going to join us from Aztec Link. They became an official NIL outlet of San Diego State University today, which is super cool. We'll tell you what that means with J.R. Tolver of Aztec Link. Name, image, and likeness supporting San Diego State student athletes at 345. So we talked about it a little bit during the Fusion, and Darren talked about it a little bit during the Darren Smith Show as well. Who knew what would come of this? I mean, we're at Viejas Arena and San Diego State's playing Wyoming, and there is Mike Shildt. And this isn't, it isn't that unbelievable. Like you said, you've been there before with Joe Musgrove and Tim Hill. And there have been other, former Aztecs and baseball players and all kinds of sports, right, have been at Viejas Arena. And last night, Mike Shildt is there, and some fans start tweeting out photos, and I sent out a video or two. And all of a sudden, there became this, like, it's only something that would happen in 2024 when nothing is happening in the offseason and social media exists. This idea that, well, Mike Shildt went to a Aztecs game and Bob Melvin never did. Therefore, Shildt is like a better manager than Bob Melvin. Like the most unbelievable jump and correlation in the history of sports. And you were like front row for this whole thing. I didn't realize it until I got home and you were I saw all these tweets. I couldn't believe it.
It was one of those situations where I was like, I saw your tweet initially, and I was like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
And I think I retweeted it from our station account.
Yeah, it's great.
And I was like, oh, cool. Mike Shildt is at an Aztec game.
Awesome.
Love to see it. And then I start seeing the narrative of wait. And I know Darren was joking with his, like it was. Of course,
I thought it was hilarious. But I thought it was great.
I didn't see Darren's till later on, but I did see. It's not just you, fatten, but it was. I mean. Did Bob Melvin ever go to an Aztec game? And then it was turned into this whole discussion of I want my manager to be a community man. I'm with Mike Shildt. Bob Melvin, no wonder he couldn't win here because he had his foot out the door because he never went to an Aztec game. And then it evolved to like, this team's going to win a World Series now because Mike Shildt went to an Aztec game. So
you started tweeting out some hilarious things like, oh, if Melvin would have gone to a couple of games, they'd be 2-time World Series champions.
I mean, it's very easy to put 2 and 2 together here.
Sure.
Absolutely right.
Direct correlation.
If Bob Melvin just went to one measly Aztec game
per offseason,
in the offseason for his 2 years that he was here as a manager, they win game 5 of the NLCS. And guess what? They come back and they win game 7 and they win the World Series. And then the next year, they don't have an historic collapse. They go on to win 110 games and win a World Series, and they don't lose in the postseason. Fully convinced that's actually what's going to happen. If
I
Bob
think some
Melvin
people
just
thought
went
that
to an Aztec game.
I mean, here's the thing, and it's funny that there was any seriousness in this conversation.
There's legit seriousness.
I know, because the truth is, and I thought it was amazing to see Mike Shildt there yesterday courtside. I thought it was really cool. The truth is, nobody's going to care if the team doesn't play well next year that occurred. And I don't even know if they're really going to occur if the team plays well next year. This idea that the manager has to be community oriented. Yeah, I mean, again, all things being equal, I'm fine with it. And by the way, who's to say Bob Melvin wasn't? That he wasn't supporting Padres community initiatives?
John.
No?
John. Bob Melvin wanted to be the Giants manager so badly that he was the main reason why this team collapsed last year. They had so much potential, and Bob just couldn't squeeze enough juice out of that fruit to make them live up to their potential last year because he wasn't bought in all to San Diego.
If it was only that simple. I mean, I know you're being facetious, and it's like when I say sometimes when people are like, well, hold on, what do you mean Alek Manoah? He's had some off-the-field issues. I'm like, yeah, okay. So let's discuss what they are, and there's a level of off-the-field issue. Okay, you're not going to then bring into your organization. But if you can deal with off-field and this player helps you win, then I'm not worried about off-field. If Bob Melvin's the better manager, I want the better manager. Maybe he's not. Maybe it is Mike Shildt. But there's no way we can discern a better manager based on who attends off-season events in San Diego. Obviously. But in social media, things have a funny way of just snowballing away.
It just shows how desperate we are for something. I don't think it's just
us. I mean, that's the, like, honestly.
Not us. I'm just saying, like, as a Padres community.
Is this a bigger story than them signing, like, Woo-Suck-Go? It's comparable.
It's turned into more of a talking point than
Is it a bigger story than Yuki Matsu? It's the second biggest story of the Padres offseason to trading Juan Soto. Who would have ever thought the Padres' new manager, courtside, and something that Bob Melvin didn't do would become the second biggest story of the offseason?
And see, if you guys want to watch this on YouTube, go to Jon and Jim 760 on YouTube. And in the chat right now, Viva Padres said, Bob Melvin's a Frisco guy, while Mike Shildt seems to want to be included in the San Diego community. To that, I say, and thanks for watching and tuning in, Viva Padres. Who cares?
Right. It's
like seriously, like all joking aside, who cares?
I don't think anyone really cares. I think it's a little bit out of nothing, even though we're talking about it. I mean, I'm sure there's someone that cares, but I don't think anyone really cares. Like, for example, does anyone think Manny Machado wasn't born in the city? This whole born in city conversation. Manny Machado born here, nor was AJ Preller,
and
nor was
us.
You know, right?
Dirty little secret. We weren't born in San Diego.
Or your favorite Chargers player when they were in San Diego.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean.
I love.
Nor was Mike Shildt.
Yeah, nor was Mike Shildt. I love that slight on people in this. Like, you weren't born in the city. You didn't grow up rooting for the Padres. Like, what is wrong with you? That slight of, dissing somebody for where they were born, where they had zero decision making.
You didn't talk to your parents when you were like in the womb.
Yeah,
like, hey, move now.
Not on the belly. Like, can you guys please move to San Diego?
We're on board.
Yeah, that discussion is always the most eye-rolling discussion that I see. Like, for me personally, I know some people out there like truly take that to heart. Like, you're not a San Diegan? Like, bro, I lived here for well over a decade. Like, I lived here almost half my life. I think I'm pretty, San Diegan. Okay.
Well, I just think it's a bad. Oftentimes, what I notice, like on the wrap-up show or even Jon and Jim, is like people won't have. There's no merit to their argument. Like, they'll actually kind of agree with what they're saying, but they won't like the way we're saying it, or maybe they're disagreeing with us, and then it'll be this idea. Well, I was born here. Were you?
Oh yeah,
okay, but why don't you say you disagree with what I'm saying? I mean, what role does that play? Which brings us back here.
Yeah.
What role does what Bob Melvin did last offseason play in what happened with the Padres in 2023? I don't think any, to be honest. And I was thrilled to see Mike Shildt there yesterday. I think Mike Shildt has had like the offseason of all time. He's been in the Dominican. He's going to Chicago. He's seeing Jay Cronenworth. He's seen Juan Soto, even though he's doing everything. He's going to weddings. Yeah. He wasn't at the beach bonfire with Joe Musgrove yesterday, but he was at Viejas. It looks like a great offseason for Mike Shildt, but I mean, all that we're going to care about once the season starts is what the Padres do on field. And all the goodwill goes away, or all the animosity goes away. All that matters is what they do on field. That's all that matters.
Joe Musgrove, right? He's an example of kind of putting two together.
Absolutely.
Right? San Diegan, and he actually performs.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great combination to have. Is that always going to happen? No. But I'll tell you this, if Joe Musgrove, born here in San Diego, did not perform and actually flamed out and did not get a 5-year, $100 million contract from the Padres, didn't make an all-star team, didn't have an epic Game 3 in New York to send the Padres to the NLDS. Like, if he actually sucked, everybody would want him out of town. It's just how it works. You win, people are going to like you. And if you lose, people are going to hate you. And with Bob Melvin, he won here. The only manager in the last decade plus to have back-to-back winning seasons, lead the team to the NLCS. Last year was a disaster, okay? But there was a lot of things going on there. It wasn't just all on Bob Melvin's shoulders. And with Mike Shildt, I could care less if he goes to an Aztec game. I could care less if Bob Melvin went to an Aztec game. Guess what? I don't think I've seen Manny Machado at an Aztec game. Have you?
I don't think I have. I've seen him at Snapdragon Stadium for the MLS announcement.
Yes,
but I don't
like
think I've seen him at a San Diego State basketball game, although I can't confirm that.
Have you seen Fernando Tatis Jr. at any sporting event in San Diego besides being on the field for the Padres?
I don't believe so. Have you?
No. But my point is this. If you win, that's all I care about. I don't care where you go. I don't care what you do.
Right. Nobody's going to be like, hey, Tatis all of a sudden went from hitting, 30 home runs to hitting 9 home runs. But I've seen him in a lot of wave and loyal matches. And it makes up for his hitting 170 this year.
Yeah. And if players and coaches, they show up to events around San Diego, that's great. But if they don't show up, that's fine too.
Let's go to the phones on this, because this is the most absurd conversation we've probably ever broached to start a show. 877-767-4760. Do you care how these players or coaches spend their off seasons or not? 877-767-4760. Mason wants to weigh in. Mason, you're on with Jon and Jim.
Mason.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What up?
So, yeah, I was one of the ones who took a picture with Shildt last night.
Oh,
wow.
Up to him, and I sent that into Darren.
Nice.
But I'm listening to you guys saying this, and I have an extremely good response, I feel like, as a San Diego fan who was born and raised here, and knows exactly how people feel about this.
Okay.
And I told you this on Twitter the other day, Jon. Like, I appreciate how much of a passion you have for state, knowing that you didn't even go there.
Yep.
Because that gives us something to feel like.
Sure.
So both you and Jim, I get it, not from here, but we appreciate that you guys have embraced this city and the sports team so much and have made it your own. What we don't like is someone like Dave Palais, who comes on the radio station and wants to say how great San Diego is, but then just wants to rip it all the time. Like, that's crappy. We don't want that. And so rather than be like that and rather be someone like so assertive against it, we want people to root for us. And so it's nice to see someone like Shildt actually embrace the community and give us something that we're proud about, that we want people to be proud about our city too. That's the difference.
That's an amazing call, mate. Let me just say this.
Thanks, Mason.
I appreciate, Mason. We appreciate you saying things like that, because
shots, strays everywhere.
It's like you do everything in your power. I think if anyone listens to the show or watches us on YouTube or sees what we do at the wrap-up show or follows us on social media, like, you can't question our loyalty to providing San Diegans with the content that they're seeking, if that makes sense. Like, we are doing a show for our listeners. Well, we're not doing a show for us.
Yeah, some people actually might think I'm a hater at times, but I'm just telling you the truth.
We're doing a show for our listeners, and we're spending 99% of the time talking San Diego sports talk. Are we not?
No, 100%. Right? Yeah.
So, but Mason makes a really valid point. This idea that, in San Diego, where you've lost the Chargers and there's only one pro team in the Big Four, we're just looking for something to rally around when it comes to sports. And I understand that. San Diego is one of the few markets where you haven't had that big championship win. And, there's been this or there's been that, but that Padres World Series before the Chargers left the Super Bowl. San Diego State won a national championship, getting so close, obviously, last year. I understand wanting to rally around sports in the city of San Diego. And when you see something like Mike Shildt at a game, it makes you feel good as a San Diegan. I completely get that. And I would feel the exact same way. I would just say the opposite side of the coin, Jim, is that doesn't make me not like Bob Melvin. Like, because I like what Mike Shildt did yesterday, I'm not going to hold that against Bob Melvin.
Yeah. And Mason, great call. Probably one of the best descriptions of how and why maybe San Diegans feel a certain way when there's outsiders that come in,
Sure.
and how those outsiders then turn allies with, wanting the city to do well, wanting the Padres to perform well and win, wanting the Aztecs to win, wanting whatever other sports in this town to win, instead of wanting them to fail and actively, saying it on either the airwaves or YouTube or, Twitter or Instagram, whatever your social media platform is, constantly trying to say the Padres, I hope they lose, and I hope they suck, and I hope this team sucks, and I hope this team sucks, and I hope this team sucks, instead of, either one, giving your true, honest opinion on the team, but also wanting them to win and discussing ways and hopefully finding solutions on how they can win. And then acting on it, like, okay, I want this team to win. I want this team to do this, but they're doing this. So I don't like that. And I'm going to criticize that. And there's two different, like, you're not viewed as a hater, I feel like, if you're telling your truth either way.
Well, here's what I would say, like, to bring this kind of full circle, but to like pivot a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, 877-767-4760. What I think San Diego sports fans want, and correct me if I'm wrong, we've been doing this for years and years and years. Are we off base here? I think San Diegans want sports talk based on San Diego sports, where a city like San Diego has so often been lumped in with Southern California, Los Angeles, right? If you're going to talk the NFL, well, they've got two teams. If you're going to talk about the NBA, well, they've got two teams. If you're right, because Los Angeles is such a big city and there's so much professional sports centered around it. But just because of that, and just because of a physical proximity to that city, doesn't mean San Diegans desire to talk about things that are going on Los Angeles. Look no further, obviously, than what's happened with the Chargers. So our point of emphasis from day one, and we haven't pivoted from this, is we're going to talk San Diego sports. You might not always agree with us.
Yeah,
so that's my point, though, Jim, because you're spending more time consuming Padres content than anyone. And that doesn't mean people are going to agree with what you have to say about it. But I guess my point is, when we come on the air every single day, and some people might say, how are you not talking about the NFC Championship? It's in 5 days. Or how are you not talking about the Super Bowl? It's in 2 weeks. And we will. And we do talk about the NFL. But if we feel like there's something more impactful for San Diegans, I think we're going to talk that initially before talking about something else.
And right now, the most impactful thing going on in San Diego to us is Mike Shildt attending an Aztecs basketball game, and the bit of, I don't want to say outrage, but bit of controversy? I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Kind of
fake controversy.
Fake controversy. There you go. On social media about, wait a second, did we ever see Bob Melvin go to an Aztec game, and being serious about it, and then running to the conclusion of, no wonder the Padres sucked last year, because Bob Melvin didn't ingratiate himself into the community.
I mean, this was so ridiculous that, first of all, you were sending tweets back and forth at like 11, and so was I. I was writing like paragraphs.
I was getting into it with Will Holder, man.
We were going, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, it's 11:40 at night. I'm like, what are we doing?
I know.
What on earth are we doing? And maybe that's more of an indictment on us than it is on anyone else.
100% in it. I mean,
it's much ado about absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
By the way, is what it is.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's like, oh, cool, Mike Shilt's here. But then it somehow turned into like, why Bob Melvin wasn't good as a manager here. And I'm like, guys, Bob Melvin did a lot for this team. NLCS, like, are we just going to forget that? I know last year was bad, but if you're going to say it was all Bob Melvin's fault, I think you should, actually really think about it more, because it wasn't just all Bob Melvin's fault. You had players literally actively saying they quit. So,
right.
Instead of what a lot of people, I think, love to do, which I don't get, is the second a player or a manager or someone leaves town, the first thing is we got to crap on them. I almost cussed there.
Well, that's what I did the other day on Hader. I kind of took his defense. Everyone's like, how could you take his defense? I'm like, because he was really good. It wasn't perfect, but by Padre closer standards, I mean, the guy was really good.
Like, I've said that I would not want Josh Hader back here because of his limitations, and that the fact that when you need him to go longer than expected, it's probably not going to happen.
Sure. And that's a fine take, but it wasn't like, hey, get the hell out of here. Like, I don't know.
Well, I do remember last year at the very end of the year when he was talking about the end of the year and
Did we say get the hell out of here?
and wait, we're in a playoff run type of attitude. Like, hey, I'm worried about myself.
Sure.
There was a lot of, and I think it could be definitely justified. Hey, bro, if you're not going to give us more than 3 outs, if you're not going to go the extra mile, we know you're a free agent. Like, probably best to just not pitch anymore the rest of the season.
Maybe, but we had similar conversations around like Manny Machado. Like, hey, bro, you're the captain of a team that's underperforming, and you're saying the culture doesn't matter, but we're not kicking him out the door.
No, we're not.
You know what I mean?
Not going to be able to be kicked out the door because
Right.
He's signed here for the next, 10 years.
I'll say this. There's some fascinating texts that are rolling in. You can keep them coming. 70470. Start it with the word team. If you want to weigh in on this very odd conversation, you can text us 70470. Start it with team or 877-767-4760.
You thought this conversation was odd?
Yeah, there was another one.
Just wait until the next odd conversation that we talk about coming up next.
Yeah, Darnay Tripp last night. We were going back and forth. Speaking of a late night conversation, Darnay says the Aztecs should run their offense through their guards, not Jaden Ledee. What do you think? All right, we'll talk about that on the other side. Plus, more of your reaction. 70470. Start it with team or 877-767-4760. We have Janet Jackson tickets to give away today. She's with Nelly at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater coming up in June right here in San Diego. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, San Diego State gets a win last night. How should they rely on their offense moving forward? Through Jaden Ledee or through their guards? That's next.
This update's brought to you by Indeed.com. Aztecs beat Wyoming last night thanks to a great second half, 81-65. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on Colorado State in Fort Collins.
That's correct.
Hall of Fame was announced yesterday. 3 new members inducted: Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, and Adrian Beltre. And the Raiders today announced their new general manager, former Chargers general manager Tom Telesco. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you interview and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tools let you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, J.R. Tolver, Aztec for Life, head volunteer at Aztec Link and NIL Collective, with some exciting news about that collective. We'll share with our listeners coming up in about 15 minutes. So last night we had Mike Shildt. By the way, the Aztecs won a game and they're 16-4, and they're in position to be hopefully highly seeded in the NCAA tournament. Like all these things you won.
Is that good?
It is, but we're talking about Mike Shildt sitting courtside. In addition to that, so last night I get home.
Come on, man. That's a story. I don't know what you're talking about.
Last night I get home. 11:18, Darnay Tripp, NBC7, Sports Wrap. Great follow on social media. Longtime friend of the show. We do shows together again on Mondays, yada, yada, yada.
Basically our producer that get paid nothing.
Right. He tweets stuff out and then we just steal it as content all the time.
Yeah, thanks for everything, Darnay.
So he tweets this out last night at 11:18, watching on DVR. And he says, the Aztecs are at their best when the guards look for their shots and the game finds its way to Jaden Ledee. San Diego State has such skill and variety on the perimeter. Let them cook. Ledee will get his in the flow of the game. That was a fun second half. So Darnay doesn't know this. I then send it to Jim. I'm like, bro. And then I didn't even tell Jim, like, I'm getting Darnay into this conversation.
Well, I then almost tweeted out something because you sent me that tweet. And I almost reacted to it saying, hey, by the way, Darnay, John told me he hates you right now. But then you decided to involve him. And
then I tweet.
You were mad.
So I tweeted Darnay and included Jim in like a group text. And we texted back and forth at 11:18 at night. while I was in my bathroom brushing my teeth while my wife was sleeping from like 11:18 to no joke, like 11:55.
We have no lives.
About this. I'm like, dude. So he's like, no, seriously, like they got to let it happen through the flow of the game. I'm like, and we're going back and forth. So anyway, let's have this conversation.
It's so easy with you
to get me riled
up.
It
is so easy with you, dude. You say anybody says one thing about
I have to react.
San Diego State. Not only do you have to react, but you can't stop until you're at a point where you feel like you've put that other person in submission.
No, I didn't even do that last night. Seriously, dude. I was respectful of his opinion. He just happened to be wrong.
And why did you tell him that he's an idiot?
No, I didn't say that, dude.
You thought it.
No, I didn't.
I know you.
But hear me out.
Hear
me out. Here is the question. I'm not saying he's wrong. So here's my question.
You just called him wrong.
I'm not saying he's right. You've got, if the season ends today, Jaden Ledee is like one of two players in the nation averaging 20 plus points and 8 plus rebounds, shooting whatever he is from the floor. Him and Zach Edey, who's going to be the national player of the year.
Who?
At Purdue, 7-4.
I know.
So I'm thinking to myself, hold on, you're 16-4 running your offense through Jaden Ledee. Now, make no mistake, and Brian Dutcher's talked about this before, there is a fine line with Ledee being as dominant as he's been and obviously getting his teammates involved when he draws these hard doubles as well. But like, I don't see any issue with running your offense through one of the most dominant players in the country. That doesn't mean he's going to score all the points and get all the shots. In fact, I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities for his teammates when he draws double teams and he passes out of those doubles. So do you agree more with Darnay, where he's like, you know what, you got these veteran guards, really good, capable guards, the Lamont Butlers, the Micah Parishes, the Darion Tramels, the Miles Birds. But then you also have this dominant center in Jaden Ledee. So what are you doing? Are you going to rely on your backcourt and let the game just come to Jaden, or are you going to start things through Jaden? Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm contemplating which side I take here.
That's fine.
Do I take Darnay's side and
you can
and have to deal with you for the rest of the day?
You can. I'm fine. I'm not mad at Darnay.
And I'm just
disappointed.
Run the risk of Darnay rage texting us?
I know,
telling us we're both idiots and he'll never come on the show again.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was like literally mad at us last night or just kind of mad.
What do I do?
He's going to join us tomorrow.
Oh, he is,
because he's at the Farmers Insurance Open today.
So he's not listening to us
and
right now.
I'm like, dude, tomorrow nobody's going to care, but sure, you can hop on tomorrow.
So no, he's not listening right now.
He'll listen back via podcast because you tagged him in a tweet.
Oh, that's right. All right, yeah. They need to run the offense through Jaden.
Okay, you're on Team John.
The way that, I mean, what he's doing right now is he's drawing all the attention of the defense every single time down the floor. For you get him in the post, you give him the ball in the post, automatic double team. And if it's not an automatic double team, you have 4 of the 5 eyes on Jaden Ledee. The thing is, with that, the Aztecs need to be better from the 3-point range, because the 3-pointer.
The 3-pointer.
The 3-pointer.
They need more runs from deep.
they need to be better from 3. There you go.
Okay.
Because if they do that and they shoot a better percentage, which right now they're not shooting a great percentage from 3. I think it's
correct.
Actually really bad.
Yeah. I'll pull it up.
That would take a lot of pressure off of Jaden, because then the defense isn't going to be able to double team him.
Right, because it'll be more of a pick your poison.
And the problem right now is the defense is being able to double team Jaden and let the Aztecs shoot threes and get away with it, because the Aztecs aren't shooting well from deep. And if that changes, if you get a better percentage from 3, which is not good right now, if Darion, Lamont, Miles Bird, Reese Waters, Micah Parrish, like, you need to raise that up to about, what, 36%, 37?
That group or the team?
That group.
That group, yeah. So the team is shooting 31%. They hit them at 34% last year.
Yeah, I would say between 35 and 37 is a good realistic range.
Not maybe for a team.
35%?
High, but
35% is not bad.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good for a team.
Didn't Wyoming come in the last night's game?
39.7%.
Yeah, 39, and that kept them in the first half.
Absolutely.
So it all is connected, right? Jaden is getting double teamed, and his production might be going down a little bit over the last couple courses of games because San Diego State's not hitting their 3-pointers. And if the Aztecs start hitting their 3s, then Jaden's not going to get double teamed as much, because you got to worry about the outside shot for the Aztecs.
Well, here's where, like, I take exception with what Darnay tweeted. I mean, I'm not going to ask him to issue a retraction or take the tweet down. That's not how I feel.
Why don't you guys just fight?
We really need to.
Just fight.
But here's what I'm saying. I have no problem with Jaden Ledee taking 10, 12, 14, 16 field goal attempts.
20.
And there have been some games where he's been under 10 field goal attempts. I think on the road, I think I have it right. Maybe New Mexico on the road when they lost, and Boise on the road, I think he had 9 or 10 field goal attempts. So this idea that just do it all on the perimeter and the game will just come to Jaden, I don't know if it will, because he's had a couple of games recently where they've tried to make him more of a focal point, and he's still not able to get 10, 12 shots off because the opponent's trying to take him out of the game. So because the opponent knows San Diego State's best chance to beat them is with Jaden Ledee taking over a game, which he's fully capable of doing.
By the way, where do you think Jaden, his strength is on the floor when he has the ball in his hands?
That's a really good question because he can hurt you in multiple ways. He'll kill you in the block. I mean, if he touches the ball too close to the basket, he will score or get fouled, right?
I would say.
Or do you like him facing up at that 15, 16 feet?
I would say top of the key, one of the elbows. I think.
Well, he's lethal with that shot.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
Is because one, if Jaden has the ball at an elbow, top of the key, you're going to have to defend that shot because he can hit it with regularity. And once you defend him, he's so quick and he's so strong and he's so big that he gives you a pump fake. He can get around you pretty easily. When he's in the low block, I'm not saying that he's not good down there, but he has, I feel, more options for his offensive game at the top of the key at one of the elbows than at the low block trying to back a guy down, because if he backs a guy down, he's automatically going to get double teamed.
The truth is, this is a good issue and a good question to go over, because the truth is San Diego State has elite guards. Reese Waters has played an elite level. The ankles bothered him recently. Lamont Butler went through the battles in the tournament. Darion Trammell, same thing. Mm-hmm. So they absolutely should be capable of beating you with multiple players and changing the game plan from one game to the next. But the idea that you're not running it inside out, that's all I'm saying. It's an inside out for me. Jaden is such a capable scorer that if they're trying to take away his scoring, well, yeah, you have capable players on the perimeter as well, but he needs to be fed. He needs to have the ability to score 20 points in a game because he's capable of doing it.
Yeah. And I agree with that. It's just everything's tied together. And
it is.
And the Aztecs right now do not shoot well from deep.
Correct.
And if that percentage goes up to 33, 34% as a team, you're going to start to see the floor spread open a little more for Jaden, because we saw at the beginning of the year, and I don't have the stats in front of me to back it up, but it just feels like they were a better outside shooting team, or they just didn't treat Jaden like he's unstoppable, and they didn't throw literally 2 defenders at him every single time.
And by the way, they've been banged up. Reese ankle is a shooter. Micah calf is a shooter. Miles Bird hip is a shooter. So maybe they get healthier here. J.R. Tolver is going to join us in 5 minutes, but let's get to Darren, who's on line 3. He wants to weigh in. Darren, you're on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in.
What's up, guys? How's it going this afternoon?
What's up, man?
What up?
Doing well. Hey, I think this conversation is great. I literally was having a similar conversation with some friends watching that game last night. And honestly, just watching conference play so far, just the way that it almost feels like you're watching a different team as far as the way that teams are coming out and defending Ledee and just sort of defending the Aztecs in general. You just think back to the Gonzaga game where they were sort of firing on all cylinders, and it looked like this team could score 120 points every night. And then now you see if they're not hitting those outside shots, it just seems like you're really making life tough on Ledee. He's really going to have to earn those points inside. You're really going to have to hope that when you're on the road that those whistles will come, which they really haven't so far. We all watched that New Mexico game. So I do feel like maybe on a neutral floor come NCAA tournament time, once Ledee starts getting more calls, that will maybe open up the offense. But watching some of this three-point shooting right now, it is hard to imagine us getting back to that Gonzaga-type level offense where we were pumping in shots from everywhere, and Ledee was still kind of getting his inside. It just seems like a different team right now.
Darren, appreciate it, man. Great call. Thank you for listening in. We'll talk more about it throughout the course of the 4 and 5 o'clock hours. We've got Janet Jackson and Nelly tickets to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Up next, J.R. Tolver. Big day for the former Aztec, the Aztec for Life with the Aztec Link Collective. We'll share some news with our listeners on the other side. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. JD Gaucho, thank you, man, for the super chat. Right, Jim?
Thanks, JD Gaucho.
Okay, guys, please subscribe if you're here. If you want to weigh in with a super chat, it's a great way to support our channel, and we get to all the super chats during our commercial breaks. So JD Gaucho wants to know, is Kevin Kruger gone after Air Force's beatdown at UNLV? So I texted Jim this score as if he cared, and he didn't. But this was
But I did watch literally the first half.
Yeah, he was on, right?
I don't know why.
Was it on after SDSU?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, wait a second.
What's happening here?
Beating the crap out of UNLV.
I mean, it was never in doubt. It was like 14-4.
Nobody was there either, by the way.
So this is in Vegas, and Air Force wins by 32 points. I mean, an absolute metric nightmare for UNLV, and kind of a big metric win for whatever it's worth for Air Force. I don't know. I think Kevin Kruger's done a nice job recruiting. I think he's a good coach. I mean, I don't really know, but I think he's a good coach. But UNLV obviously has run through a lot of coaches, and I'm sure they expect more than what they're getting right now. So I really don't know. I mean, they're capable of beating good teams. They've done it this year. They've beaten Boise and Creighton. I'm missing someone else, but they're also capable of losing to not great teams, as we've seen. So it'll be interesting to see if they figure it out at all in the final month or so of the season, or make some noise on their home court during the Mountain West tournament. But I don't know if Kevin Kruger will be back. He's recruited well, but when it comes to wins and losses, it's not the level that I'm sure UNLV is hoping for.
Whenever you say Kevin Kruger,
you're thinking of
Kevin Kugler.
Who's that?
A TV announcer.
Oh yeah, the sports Kevin Kugler.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you think of Freddy Krueger.
No, Kevin Kugler.
Thanks, JD Gaucho. We'll be back in a moment. All right, we have breaking NFL news on the other side. Plus, J.R. Tolver, Aztec for Life, will join us next. All right, J.R. Tolver, Aztec for Life, who is the head volunteer at Aztec Link, will join us right now. We do have breaking NFL news. Jim Harbaugh will leave Michigan for the LA Chargers. Wow. I mean, we've been talking about it, but if you would have told me that months ago, I wouldn't have believed that, to be honest with you. We've talked about this. The Chargers are not the spenders when it comes to coaching hires.
That's gonna be interesting to see how much they actually ponied up for him.
Yeah.
Because they're the cheapest rich people in the NFL.
Do you think they're like deferring this?
Probably. It's also going to be interesting how much power Harbaugh gets.
All of it.
I would think so.
That's how the rich stay rich.
Maybe you can get him back here.
Yeah.
All right, J.R. Tolver, Aztec for Life, Aztec Link. This is a big day for Aztec Link. Name, image, and likeness in support of San Diego State student athletes. JR, for our listeners that aren't aware, tell us about what happened earlier today with this collective.
Oh, it was a glorious day, Jon and Jim, a glorious day. Yeah, San Diego State, I think they did something that not a lot of colleges have done here in this name, image, and likeness era, which is create an official partnership with an external entity to help the student athletes kind of go through and be guided through this process of name, image, and likeness. And it's something we've been working on for a while. And I just want to say thank you to all of the people who have helped Aztec Link. Aztec Link is a team full of volunteers. I mean, everybody's a volunteer. And Mike Coleman, who's our director of operations, Carly House and Austin Bolton, Aztec for Life, and a married couple that's really been helping us out. Just a bunch of people on the back end have been helping us get to this point. And we're glad to be in a position where San Diego State is seeing the value and the passion that we want to bring to the students at San Diego State, while also bringing something new and unique to this San Diego community in terms of name, image, and likeness. So we are just absolutely ecstatic and fired up to be in this position.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's definitely news that you love to see if you're an Aztecs fan. But for people maybe wondering, like, why is this such a big deal? Like, why is this such a big deal to have this partnership in place now? What would you tell them?
So one of the things with name, image, and likeness is the ability for the student athletes to use their notoriety to be able to monetize that notoriety. So it could be on social media, it could be events. But the reality is, it's kind of like when I was in the National Football League, we used to say, like, nobody's bigger than the Shield. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be Tom Brady, but the reason Tom Brady is Tom Brady is because of that NFL Shield. And so what this partnership now allows us to do is it leverages the brand, the logo, the marks of San Diego State University with the student athletes. And that's huge, right? Because again, these student athletes they're great. They're awesome in their own right, but being able to position them and market them next to that San Diego State logo is just a huge lift for this entire community.
All right, so J.R. Tolver is with us, Aztec for Life. Again, the head volunteer at Aztec Link, the collective that now is affiliated with San Diego State University. A lot of our listeners know about Butler at the Buzzer, which is that really unique commemorative piece you did with Lamont Butler, that signed collectible. What can we expect to see from Aztec Link in 2024? For people that want to get involved, I know they can do so online, obviously, but what should they expect here in 2024 as we gear up for football?
Oh, man, football is coming up. We have on April 20th, the spring game. That spring game is going to be sponsored by Aztec Link. So you'll get a chance to see a lot of things at the spring game with this new coaching staff, the new players that we have, a lot of things that we haven't seen traditionally at a spring game. Aztec Link will be able to pull some things together. We're currently planning a golf tournament, another event that we believe is going to bring the community together and also generate some funds for the purpose of proliferating opportunities back to the students at San Diego State. We've talked about the merchandise. Coach Lewis, if you follow him on Twitter, every morning he wakes up and he hashtags his posts with BB Alpha and Aztec Fast. So Aztec Link is going to do our best job to make sure that if the community wants to get their hands on some gear that is associated with anything San Diego State in that fashion, that we can that we can help out with that. We built this NIL collective for the student athletes at San Diego State. It starts with football. Right now we're using football to really figure out the lay of the land. But the reality is we've done a baseball camp with some of the baseball players on the team. We've had a track and field athlete, Charlize James, who's done a great job doing some stuff in the community as well. So we built this thing, and it's based around football, has been based around football. But the goal is to have a collective that's inclusive of every single student athlete, male and female, at San Diego State University.
Where does San Diego State stack up to the rest of the Mountain West Conference, now and going forward, JR?
So San Diego State has a NIL department internally. So Brendan Hill was just hired by San Diego State less than a year ago to basically come in and internally lead the direction of NIL. That puts us at the top of the Mountain West. We're the only school in the Mountain West that has an internal NIL department. So internally, we're number one. Externally, I think the jury is still out. We look at it, we're seeing what, Boise State is doing, what Colorado State is doing. If you look at, student athletes that are kind of moving around, if you look at, the footprint of collectives, it's kind of hard to tell. But if I had to guess, I would think that we're definitely in the upper echelon in the Mountain West. I'm not sure if we're the number one collective in the Mountain West, but I would say we're probably top three, just based off of the visibility that I've seen up until this point. The goal is to obviously be number one, but as I think it stands right now, we still got a lot of work to do. We want to drum up a lot of community support. Go to azteclink.com, become a subscriber. The more fans that we have in this collective, the bigger and better we can build things. If you're a local business here and you want to do something with San Diego State student athletes, reach out to us at azteclink.com. We want to do everything that we possibly can to continue to build this collective, because the way we see it, the programs in this country that have the best collectives and the best NIL programs will continue to attract great talent. And obviously those great talents leads to wins, and those wins leads to championships.
That's well said. And again, azteclink.com. Again, butler@thebuzzer.com. A few of those are remaining as well, so get those before they're gone. That limited edition collectible signed by Lamont Butler from last year's game against FAU in Houston. J.R. Tolver, congratulations, man. I know you've been working a long time on this, so congratulations on today, and we'll catch up again soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, J.R. Tolver with Aztec Link. On the other side, our reaction to the breaking NFL news, Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. Wow. We'll talk about it on the other side. Plus, Janet Jackson and Nelly tickets. We'll give those away in the 4 o'clock hour. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. Championship weekend is here. You're gearing up. You've got grocery needs. You can get it all done over at Windmill Farms. They've got everything you need for all of your tailgating needs. As you're watching this weekend on television, whether it's college hoops, NFL action, the Super Bowl, of course, just a couple of weeks away. And again, during your work week, you're looking for a quick, affordable lunch in the college area, you should start and end with Windmill Farms, because their deli, you get your 8th sandwich free with a sandwich card. They've got every possible sandwich combination you could possibly want. They've got fresh, high-quality ingredients, healthy options, low prices. They really pride themselves on those low prices. In addition to that, again, they've got everything you could possibly want from a grocer: organic farm fresh produce and meats, the amazing craft beer selection. As you know, they serve San Diegans. They're family-owned. Trevor and his family, they've been in the grocery business for over 20 years, serving San Diegans and working with local businesses like Harris Ranch, Mr. G Salsa, and many, many more as well. You can always find them at windmillfarmsmarket.com. Check it out each and every week because they've got weekly specials there. Again, windmillfarmsmarket.com. But as you get ready for Championship Sunday, make sure to shop local, shop at Windmill Farms.
All right, this update's brought to you by Indeed.com. Breaking news in the NFL. The Chargers, they're going to hire Jim Harbaugh to be their next head coach, according to reports. Moving over to the Aztecs. They beat Wyoming last night thanks to a big second half, 81-65. Next up for the Aztecs, they play in a week versus Colorado State on the road. And the Hall of Fame announced 3 new members inducted yesterday: Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, and Adrian Beltre. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. This hour, your chance to win tickets to see Janet Jackson with Nelly at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater this June. The breaking news that Jim just told you about, we've been discussing briefly here over the last 10 or 15 minutes from Adam Schefter, not from CNN. If you know, you know. CNN broke the Doc Rivers story. It makes no sense.
Makes zero sense.
But from Adam Schefter,
did an AI
it
bot?
makes no sense.
It was funny because on NBA and TNT last night, they were making fun of, like, CNN has a sports department.
It makes no sense. Anyway, Adam Schefter at this hour, breaking: Harbaugh leaving Michigan to accept the head coaching job with the Chargers. The Chargers get their man while the national champions now have a head coach opening. Think about this. 2 weeks ago, Kalen DeBoer, Jim Harbaugh. DeBoer is at Alabama. Harbaugh's in Southern California in the NFL with the LA Chargers.
Yeah.
Man, life comes at you quick. But Jim Harbaugh back to the NFL. Last time there, he was the head coach of your Niners, who now find themselves in an NFC Championship game this weekend. This is nobody really predicted this months ago because the Chargers don't spend money. But how else do you land Jim Harbaugh?
The rematch of the national championship game next year in the Big Ten between Washington and Michigan has
lost some of its appeal.
Gonna be kind of boring.
By the way,
Well, there's already going to be both teams are not going to have the same players, but now they don't even have the same coaches.
By the way, Ravens Chargers meet next year. Jon and Jim Harbaugh will meet as head coaches.
Yeah.
That happened, I would assume, previously. Obviously,
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that time counts.
Wasn't that fun for me?
Yeah, exactly.
It actually sucked.
So yeah, officially official. We're waiting on the terms. Like, is he the GM?
Yeah,
they're going to hire a GM.
We talked about it yesterday, and I put out on social media because it's like everybody's thinking it. How many years does it take before the Spanoses and Dean especially to F this up? Because it's inevitable with this franchise. They might have. I will give them credit here. This is the right move to hire Jim Harbaugh. You couldn't make another hire of a random coordinator that nobody knew about, like a Brandon Staley type. Like the upgrade from Brandon Staley to Jim Harbaugh is the size from like the space between Earth and the sun. I mean, Brandon Staley is the biggest fraud of a coach ever. And you go to a coach that actually is respected and knows what he's doing. So credit to them for that. But that's where the credit ends because this franchise and team, the history is they mess it up. They always mess it up. And could this turn into Jim Harbaugh leading the Chargers to a Super Bowl? Potentially, I give it more of a chance than any other random coordinator that they would have hired. But it also makes you mad when I see articles written about Dean Spanos wanting to make this big time splash. Like you decided to make a big time splash now. You didn't want to do that while you were in San Diego. Actually, by the way, you wanted to get the hell out of San Diego. So it's another thing where if you were a former Chargers fan, you just look at this as like, F you, because not only did you leave, you changed the jerseys to powder blue, which everybody wanted when you were here. And then you finally, after 7-8 years of incompetence, still incompetent there, but you actually make the right move and you hire Jim Harbaugh. Just another screw you. Hope it fails.
Well, one thing I will say is Jim Harbaugh was not at the Aztecs game yesterday. Although we know his ties to San Diego, obviously, whether it was as a quarterback with the Chargers, as the head coach at USD, you often see him in San Diego, by the way.
Was he at a Padres game last year?
Padres games. He goes to Del Mar.
He was at a Padres game and he brought his glove with him.
As if he was like going to play or something.
Yeah.
They might actually be able to use him in the outfield this year.
Play left?
So Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. I actually, here's the part to me. It's not about him coaching the Chargers and the Chargers getting in the way of themselves. What is surprising to me is they actually landed the plane.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now that you've landed the plane, I would just say, if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I'd just say, get out of my way.
Yeah.
I got it from here. I'll take care of it.
It's Jim Harbaugh's show now there. And I would be surprised. I'm interested to see the money on it because it's going to be a lot. It's going to be probably close to one of the highest paid coaches in the league. But I go back to the point of trying to localize this, right? Man, it must piss you off if you're a former Charger fan.
Well, localize it. I mean, here's the truth. And we don't talk a lot of Chargers, but there's tens of thousands of San Diegans that are watching the Chargers and whether they love them or hate them.
Yeah.
So we don't talk a lot about it. And you see the vitriol. I see it on social media, but I also see a lot of stuff of people that support the LA Chargers. Now they're in Los Angeles and they're not in San Diego. So we don't cover them like they're a local team. But the fact is they left San Diego 7 years ago and their former quarterback, Jim Harbaugh, who also coached in San Diego, is now coming back to Southern California to coach the Chargers. I mean, it's kind of surreal. I did not see that coming. I really did not see that move coming.
Yeah, like I think at one point in time, and I might be wrong. I don't know if they were in LA or they were still in San Diego. They might have still been in San Diego because that was when they hired Mike McCoy, which is another disaster of a hire by this ownership group.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was an opportunity to hire Bruce Arians.
Okay.
And at that moment in time, Bruce Arians went on to win a Super Bowl with the Bucs later on, obviously. But a guy that was with the Cardinals, led the Cardinals to a Super Bowl, and the franchise decided not to go that route, and they went with Mike McCoy. So you're thinking,
how'd that turn out?
Yeah, it turned out like a disaster, as you expect. And then now, all this now is when you decide to make the big move and spend the money on the big time head coach. Like another FU, bro.
I agree with that. By the way, Chargers 3 minutes ago in all caps. Who's got it better than us?
It is
it's very cringe.
Well, look, the reason why I despise that franchise is what they did to this town. Okay.
Oh, wait, that's why?
So it's everything they do to me just is cringe, no matter how I might view it or whatever, or even if it's good, I just consider it cringe because I despise that franchise for not crippling this city, but for a window there for a couple of years. I mean, it was tough for everyone to get their feet underneath them, and then thankfully the Padres and Peter Seidler came along and decided, yeah, we're taking that flag. But for a little while there, a couple of years, you're like, oh, this is tough, man. Watching the Chargers in LA and how should I feel about them? And then now, after these many years, it's not like it's been 2 decades. It's been what, 8 years? 7 years?
The next season is the 8th season.
So it's still, I'm not saying fresh because I wouldn't describe it as that, but I would say you can still see it in the rearview mirror.
Here's the deal.
And this happens and you're like, really?
Well, here's the deal. There's always going to be some level of attachment. Well, obviously people don't consume it the same way. And a lot of people have moved on and some people have not. Days like today is going to bring back memories. And if this team gets to a postseason and wins, it's going to, again, there's always going to be an attachment. I mean, maybe always is a strong word, but the proximity of the cities, like you think about, like when the Dodgers went from east to west, they went 3,000 miles. When the Giants went from east to west, they went 3,000 miles. The Chargers went, 100 and whatever miles. So like there's the proximity thing, which is always going to be a part of the story. And, San Diego as a market, again, it's not New York. When New York lost, again, baseball teams to the West, well, there's 10 other professional sports teams.
Yeah.
San Diego has not backfilled, quote unquote, the NFL. How do you backfill from the NFL? And even when they tried to do it with Major League Soccer initially, with Soccer City, you don't replace the NFL with Major League Soccer. So there's always going to be that hole where, again, I think if a team left Los Angeles, if the Clippers left LA, is there a void?
No.
When a third baseball team left New York, was there a void? No, they backfilled actually with the New York Mets. But in San Diego, when you only have one other professional team in the Big Four, it's always going to be more significant than if it happened in a city that has 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 professional sports teams.
And if you're a former Chargers fan and you despise that franchise, and you have every right to despise them, I am on your guys' side. But today, seeing Harbaugh go there, not only is it, why it makes people potentially mad about it, is because deep down, everybody knows it's probably going to work. Like Jim Harbaugh's a really good head coach, and wherever he's gone, he ends up turning that, program or franchise around to a winner.
Niners sucked before he got there. 8 consecutive seasons out of the postseason.
And in the first year, they're in the NFC title game.
Right. So there's no guarantee there. There's no guarantee. Like you said the other day, I mean, Herbert was the quarterback when they were in the postseason 2 years ago. He had a 27-0 lead. I'm not putting it all on him. You could put it on Brandon Staley. They have won 3 playoff games in 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like all of a sudden there's some guarantee that you have Justin Herbert, you're going to win a Super Bowl. They've had Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Has the issue been Brandon Staley coaching? Well, yeah, you can absolutely argue that.
And the difference between that Niners team in 2010 and this Chargers team in 2024 is that Niners team had all the talent and they just needed somebody to like hone it in. And they didn't really make any big time signings that offseason for Harbaugh. Like they still had a lot of really good players. If you want to argue that for the Chargers, go right ahead. But guess what? I would say that actually they don't. They have a bunch of aging guys. Their cap situation is a disaster. Keenan Allen, like, can he perform like he has? Like, I mean, he's an injured guy now. Austin Eckler was a shell of himself after last year. You have Khalil Mack, who has taken up so much space on the team. Joey Bosa is always injured.
So what you're saying,
they have a lot of work to do. I don't think it's just put in Harbaugh and all of a sudden they're in the AFC title game.
But like we said yesterday, if he's there for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, would you figure, based on the successes he's had, even in spite of the front office and ownership, that he would win if given 4, 5, 6, 7 years? I think most people that are unbiased in the conversation would say yes. I think most people would tell you if Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of the Chargers for 5 years, he's going to have success, right? It's not just going to be failure after failure, because that hasn't happened anywhere. And if he does fail there, then I guess you put it solely on the organization. But I mean, if he's there 5 or 6 years with Justin Herbert, there's a decent chance he's going to have success.
Knowing Jim Harbaugh from his time with Stanford and USD and the Niners and Michigan, it will eventually end probably poorly. The Niners situation, and I mean, the Stanford situation didn't end poorly. He just left the NFL after winning, I think, the Orange Bowl, was it, with Andrew Luck? The Niners situation ended because the owner couldn't get out of his own way and wanted credit for their success, and it created a giant rift. I would say the biggest reason why he left Michigan is because of these allegations.
100%, but you can't say it ends poorly.
No,
they just won a national championship.
It ended great. I just don't see Jim Harbaugh staying there for like 6, 7, 8 years. I see him staying there 4 years tops.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because how many years was he in San Francisco?
4.
All right, 4 in San Francisco, and then he spent the better part of 10 years at Michigan. The last head coach at Michigan was Brady Hoke.
How long was he there? 4 or 5? Because I know he went to the NFC title game, then the Super Bowl, and then another. Oh man, how long?
Well,
was he?
I'll tell you.
4 or 5?
He was the head coach of the Niners for 4 years. He was the head coach at Michigan for 9 seasons. He was the head coach at Stanford for 4 seasons. My point is this: he isn't Mr. Let me get up and move every year. And in this age of coaching, where you see movement from one job to the next, every 12 months or 24 months, that's not really him. He's had 3 jobs since 2007. 4 years at Stanford, 4 years at San Francisco, 9 years at Michigan. So, if history is any indication, I mean, he was at San Diego, USD for 3 seasons. If you give him, even if it's just 4 seasons, Jim, I think people have to come to grips with the idea that in 4 seasons, based on his track record, he could have success.
I see this in the chat from William. San Diegans are still Charger fans. Get over it. Stop crying, people. I was talking to Aaron about this last night, not the Chargers, but just like what's the biggest thing in San Diego? Like, what's the biggest talking point in San Diego, right? And we talked about this yesterday with the Netflix and the WWE, how if you're a company or like us, a radio show, we are going to, and we want to, but cater to the majority, right? Like, I think the majority of San Diegans, and the majority of our listeners, probably all of our listeners, want to hear about the Padres. There are still pockets of San Diegans here in town that still root for the Chargers. I 100% will give you that. But is it the majority anymore? No.
But here's the one thing I would say.
So I'm not going to cater to the minority.
Well, of course not.
When the majority is what we're actually catering to.
We don't talk. I mean, if anyone that's listened to the show for the last 2 years knows we don't talk about the Chargers unless there's breaking NFL news that is relevant, and this is breaking NFL news that is relevant. But here's what you just said is anecdotal. We don't really know how many San Diegans are consuming daily Chargers content because we don't have that information available. We don't know how many people listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, go to Chargers.com. Is it less than when they were in San Diego? Well, yeah, obviously. Are a lot of San Diegans no longer Charger fans because what they did to the city? Yes, like you said, rightfully so. But what we don't know, and I agree with you, I don't think you cater to a team that turned its back on a city.
Mm-hmm.
That makes literally no sense. But what I do think is also true, and we see it sometimes, is you have Padres fans that are Chargers fans. And there's a lot of them, obviously.
Yeah, and like I said, am I going to ever root for the Chargers or want the Chargers to succeed? No,
Yes.
I won't.
Oh,
But if you are that person, I'm not going to tell you you're an idiot for doing it. That's me personally. I hope and wish for the failure of that franchise at every turn.
sure.
Because I was here, firsthand experience. Brent was here, firsthand experience. John, you just got here right when it was happening.
Sure.
I was in that studio over where Brent is the second the news dropped
Mhm.
about the Chargers leaving town. And I saw the pain that it caused
No
this
doubt.
city, how many businesses went out of business because of the Chargers leaving, how many people lost their jobs because of the Chargers leaving,
Yeah.
how many people were crying as fans of this team for 50 plus years because the Chargers left. So just because it's been 7 years, like that ain't my opinion on that team and that franchise and Dean ain't changing ever, no matter how well they do.
And I agree with what you're saying. And I share the sentiment. And that's why we collectively as a show don't really talk about the Chargers. And again, we believe they turned their back on the city of San Diego. How could you think otherwise? With that being said, like you said, I also would say I can't tell someone how to be a fan. And if you're a fan of the Chargers, even with the Chargers having moved, then you're a fan of the Chargers. I don't know what you would do if the Niners left and went to Portland.
Well, actually, it's funny because I think distance-wise from the city of San Francisco,
they're probably just as far.
I think they're maybe a little farther.
But they're still the San Francisco 49ers.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to tell someone. I agree with everything you said is spot on. You're 100% right. But at the end of the day, San Diego's a big city, and the Chargers were an NFL team in the city. And even if 9 and 10 turn their back on the organization, that's tens of thousands of San Diegans that would still be supporting. And that doesn't mean we change anything we do. And that doesn't mean you should change your opinion. I'm 100% with it. I just also recognize there are Charger fans in San Diego. It's just how it's going to be.
And then going back to like my feelings on the franchise and a lot of people's feelings of the franchise, you're probably sitting there because I'm honestly sitting here and I'm not even a fan. Like I when the Chargers were in town, right? And I was working here and I was working on the broadcast and everything and doing all that stuff. Like I wanted them to win.
Right.
I rooted for them to win. I wasn't sitting here hoping they lost. Like I wanted them. That's the same way I feel about the Padres. I want them to win. I root for their success. It's better for our business. It's better when the Padres are good. We saw what happened in 2022. When they're not do well, I tell you they're not doing well. When they do good, I tell you they're doing good. But knowing and feeling that about the Chargers, right? And then feeling the way you do now after they left, today you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, oh crap, this team is probably going to win.
Yeah, and what sucks is, like you said, it's like you wish they did this when they were in San Diego.
Absolutely.
You wish they had this. I don't know if it's a desire to win or not. From the outside, the facade is a desire to win. If you hire Jim Harbaugh, the facade is
you're going
from
to win.
The outside that, hey, we're putting our best foot forward.
Yeah.
This guy has won at every level he's coached at.
And that never happened here. And like I said, it's not 2 decades since they moved.
No, you're right.
It's 7
and by
years.
the way, even if it was, I mean, if the Chargers win a Super Bowl 2 decades from now, you think it's not going to hurt San Diegans?
It will.
It will.
But who knows in 2 decades if Dean is still even the owner of that team.
True.
I think there's a window where he has to remain the owner of the team before he can sell.
Right.
Like I think it's like a 10 or 15 year window before he can sell because you can't relocate a franchise
and then make all the money
And-
off it immediately.
Exactly.
Yep.
So would I bet that he's still the owner of the team in 2 decades? Probably
No,
not.
probably not.
But
his family?
yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe those, kids that were born on third base will become the owners of that team. But you still look at it like, oh, wow, and it's little things, but they matter.
Mm-hmm.
We got all excited when the Padres changed their jerseys to brown.
Yeah, definitely.
As did every fan, because that's what the fans wanted.
Right.
And then you see them go to LA and you're like, oh, now you changed your primary jerseys to powder blue? We were asking for that forever here in San
it's
Diego.
also the little things like, hey, congrats Dodgers on like making the NLCS.
Yeah,
Like,
screw you.
You've been there for like 5 seconds.
And you went out and hired a big time head coach for a bunch of money. And
where was that?
Where was
10
that in
years
San
ago?
Diego? Oh, wait, never mind. You just fired Marty Schottenheimer.
On the other side, we'll get to the wrap. The biggest sports stories of the day. Plus, this hour, your chance to win Janet Jackson and Nelly tickets, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's coming up June 6th. Tickets available at livenation.com. Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. The wrap on the other side. Stay with us. All right, the wrap is on the other side. Plus, this hour, your chance to win tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Indeed.com. Breaking news in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh is being hired by the Chargers for a 5-year deal. Money is yet to... What are you doing over there? Are you okay? Oh, okay. 5-year deal with the L.A. Chargers. Moving over to the Aztecs. They beat Wyoming last night, 81-65. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on Colorado State in a week from now on the road. And the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, announced 3 new members yesterday: Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, and Adrian Beltre. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, I said we were going to get to the wrap, but let me read this text, and it could take up a majority of the segment. We will get to the wrap. We do have Nelly and Janet Jackson tickets to give away in 15 minutes, so stay with us. Let me read this. Jim can react, okay?
Okay.
619. We've seen these texts before, Brent. Jim is such a hater. Not a native, never a Chargers fan either, pretty sure, ? Except like Raider fan Costa was while being the sideline reporter. Sorry, Costa, for including you in this. He says, seems like the Kaplan philosophy that thinking hating the Bolts will lead to people listening.
Okay.
Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
So, number one, not a native. I think we discussed that in the first hour of today's show. And yeah, if that's your insult to me,
you got me.
You got me. Sorry. Second off, yeah, I was never a Chargers fan. I literally just said that, but because I worked at a station that was the home of the Chargers and they were the NFL team in town, I rooted for their success.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did good, I was happy about it. Sue me. Number 2, I'm such a hater, or number 3, I guess. I'm such a hater towards the Chargers. Yeah, I am. I'm a hater towards the Chargers. You caught me there too.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 4, the Kaplan philosophy of thinking that hating the Bolts will lead to people listening. I don't think that at all. I'm just being myself. I hate the Chargers because I hate the Chargers. I don't fabricate this hate because I think it's going to generate more people listening. I truly dislike that franchise.
And we never talk about them.
So
if the theory is Jim hating on the Chargers leads to San Diegans listening to Jon and Jim, well, then wouldn't we talk about the Chargers? We literally could go 90 days without referencing them. Is that accurate? Longer. During the, like, no joke, even during the football season. I mean, it might be like a question in an interview, or someone may bring it up in a phone call, or maybe we'll say in an update, Justin Herbert's out for week 17 with a shoulder or whatever.
If they're in the postseason,
yeah,
and it's
of course.
We discuss them like any other NFL team, and we don't. Yeah, that's it.
But if the theory is talking Chargers leads to listenership, and that's what you guys are doing, then why do we never talk about them?
Like I do it for clickbaity stuff.
Right. If that's the theory.
Hey, the only clickbaity stuff I'm doing is for the Padres. Okay. I know where the bread's buttered here.
Right.
And it's Padres. So I'm not going out of my way to fabricate this hate because I think it's going to generate more people listening or interacting with the show. I genuinely dislike that franchise for every single reason that I explained in the last, 20 minutes.
360, Jim is a lot of things, but his Chargers take is correct. I hate saying that, ...
Thanks, 360. I know you text us a lot and hate me, but thank you.
This is polarizing, by the way, is my point. Like, and we stay out of it. We don't get involved in it. It is polarizing. You should see the reaction right now on the text line. I kid you not. There is a ton of it on the text line in reaction to Jim Harbaugh being named the head coach of the Chargers today. 5-year deal. We're waiting on the terms. So, yeah, it elicits reaction. And by the way, we stay away from the reaction. Why are we leading our show with Mike Shildt at an Aztecs game? It would be much easier to lead the show talking about the AFC Championship game. But we'd rather appeal to San Diegans than not.
Yeah. O'Neill. I don't even know how to say his name. O'Nil? O'Neill?
I don't know.
O'Neill in the chat on YouTube says, Jim's salty about Harbaugh. LOL. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
so there's the Niners. There's the Niners connection.
Hey, I'll tell you right now.
But they're in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I think ask me after Sunday, but as of right now,
that's funny. Yeah.
As of right now, I would take Kyle Shanahan over Jim Harbaugh as an NFL head coach.
That's fair. I see what happens, but that's fair.
Yeah. And Jim Harbaugh doesn't call plays. He's a really good guy at hiring the right people.
Yes.
But he doesn't call plays. And Kyle Shanahan does. But yeah, as of right now, I would take Kyle Shanahan over Jim Harbaugh. But again, ask me over after Sunday, and maybe ask me after February 11th.
Well, yeah, and like I joked about it, I think yesterday outside Viejas, maybe with you on air. I mean, what if for you specifically, it's like, what if the Chargers win a title before the Niners? Now, that doesn't seem overly likely. I mean, the Niners are one of 4 teams standing, and they could be a favorite in each of these 2 games if they play 2 games. But you never know. Like you said, Kyle Shanahan could be the bell of the ball.
Bell of the ball.
He could be the bell of the ball in 2.5 weeks. He could be a legendary figure. Even in Niners history, they've had so much success, but we'll see. Or they could blow a lead to the Lions on Sunday, and that's all people will talk about for the next year.
This for Kyle Shanahan, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about this. There's only 2 ways to go for him the rest of the postseason, for either just Sunday or Sunday and the Super Bowl. One, he loses Sunday or loses in the Super Bowl. He becomes even more of a guy that can't get it done in the big games.
Yep.
And if he does win on Sunday and does win the Super Bowl, whoever he faces, he will be then elevated to one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, I agree.
And even though I think he's already at that point, I think it will be a solidified thing where Kyle Shanahan, right, will be put in the same class as
like an Andy Reid,
McVay.
Yeah,
Andy Reid. Who else?
That's kind of the top. If Belichick, we'll see about Belichick.
John Harbaugh.
Yeah, but no, you're right. There's no way you could say otherwise.
Yeah, you will instantly say Kyle Shanahan. He's accomplished everything that he needed to accomplish. Now it's about getting another Super Bowl. Or it turns into guy can't get it done, chokes in big time games again, and when is he ever going to get it done? If he ever is going to get done with the Niners.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, if not now, then when? And you could argue, by the way, they're set up well. San Francisco is. They've got core pieces back. They could have their quarterback back. But if they don't win and they have Brock Purdy as their quarterback, and he is some of the reason as to why they don't win, you could argue if they are set up to win now.
Yeah. So how do we get on that from Jim Harbaugh?
Oh, you're salty because of Harbaugh.
Oh, yeah. No,
because you have Shanahan and they have Harbaugh.
Oh, I'm not salty because he's not the 49ers head coach. I'm salty because I'm afraid that Jim Harbaugh, who I think is a really good coach, is going to turn the Chargers actually into a competent franchise.
It's a scary proposition.
And to even see potentially Dean with any success just makes me upset.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, here's what we're going to do. On the other side, we are giving away a pair of tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly. This is at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on June 6th. This is a great prize. Now, the first 2 callers will be contestants for trivia today. Here's the number to call. 877-767-4760. Who wants 2 free tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly? This is at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, June 6th. Tickets available at livenation.com. Again, the number to call, 877-767-4760.
Can you name a Nelly song?
Yeah, na na baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Country Grammar?
Right, that's what I said.
One of the
Shazam would know that one.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Isn't Country Grammar, that's the name of the album, I think, right? I think that album is one of the best-selling albums in the history of ever.
Yeah, well, I know. Look at the calls. Lines are loaded. All right, Trainwreck Radio on the other side. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. I told you last weekend, Novo Brazil Mission Valley is now open. This is the spot to watch Championship Sunday. It's going to be incredible. It's an amazing sports bar. It's hard to imagine you could be possibly better than what they've done in Mission Valley. It's spectacular. They've got the brand new Aztecs Raspberry Kombucha now on tap as well and available. That was taste tested by current San Diego State student athletes, Lamont Butler, Jaden Ledee, Micah Parrish. And by the way, a portion of those proceeds benefits the Mesa Foundation Collective, which benefits San Diego State Aztecs men's and women's basketball players. This is an amazing place, the Novo Brazil Brewing in Mission Valley, one of 5 area locations. It seats 350 people. It's indoor, outdoor. They've got a full bar menu, spectacular LED screens and televisions, 60 taps of Novo Brazil beer. They've got the kombucha I was telling you about, seltzers, great food, sandwiches, tacos, salads, burgers, empanadas, appetizers, Brazilian-inspired entrees. This is one of 5 locations. Another great location, Otay Ranch, with their massive LED screens. Find out all the information you need on any of their area locations at novobrew.com. Again, that's novobrew.com. All right, so we're going to give away Janet Jackson tickets and Nelly tickets coming up momentarily. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, June 6th. Tickets at livenation.com. Now, people are coming after Jim on the text line.
And the YouTube stream.
And this stream.
And the chat. Our chat is... Look, this from Michael.
Okay.
If the Chargers win the Super Bowl, Jim will have his thumb in his mouth and another up his butt. Get over it. Okay. If the Chargers win the Super Bowl, and I see Dean Spanos holding a Super Bowl trophy, yeah, I'll be annoyed because I hate Dean. But am I going to like have my life be ruined because of it? No.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially. No, potentially.
I mean, is anyone really worried? All I'm saying, my point is, in hiring Jim Harbaugh, if you give him a window of time, he likely succeeds. I'm not saying he wins the Super Bowl. I don't feel as if in 2024, all of a sudden, the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl. Like, that's not easy to accomplish, specifically in the AFC. I don't care what you do or who you have. That's not easy. But with time, 4 or 5 cracks at it, could he break through in there? It's definitely possible based on his track record.
Now, because of the Chargers stink and Dean Spanos, it's still hard, but I do think Jim Harbaugh is that deodorant to make it smell a little more palpable in LA market, to have them maybe break through a little bit and resonate a little bit more. They'll still be, bottom of the totem pole.
Course, yeah.
But because it's Jim Harbaugh, they will be talked about more and they will be viewed in a different light. The stink of the team will still be there. There will always be, I feel like, the Rams' little brother. I always feel like they will be to the Lakers and USC and the Rams and the Dodgers, especially in that town.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they will be everyone's little brother, and they'll never, even the Clippers, right? They're in the Clippers category, but I still feel like the Clippers would resonate more than the Chargers ever would in that town. It's just, the thing is, with Jim Harbaugh there, it gave them a better chance to potentially resonate at some point.
All right, more on it in the 5 o'clock hour. Again, the breaking news within the last 90 minutes. Jim Harbaugh is officially the next Chargers head coach. Right now, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Henry and Michael. Henry, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Henry?
Henry.
Oh, boy.
Henry, are you there?
Hello, Henry. Going once. Going twice.
Bye-bye.
Peace out, Henry.
Calling in right now, right?
Bye-bye.
All right, so Michael's going to get
Michael, are you
there?
wants. Michael?
I'll go with, I'm here.
Yeah.
Who are you going to go with?
Go with John.
All right. Smart. Michael's smart. All right, Michael's going with me, Brent. And let's see who else we have.
Who else do we have?
We have.
You're
Brent's
waiting
on
for the
screen.
name. Just Jose.
Jose.
I was trying to spell.
Yeah.
Jose, are you there?
Hold on. He will be now.
All right.
It's a train wreck.
Yeah, I know. Jose, are you there?
Yep, I'm here, guys.
All right, cool. So you are going to play with me today. I'm your partner, okay?
Let's do this.
And that's Jim.
That's me. I'm Jim. So who's first, Jose or Michael? You
Jose,
choose.
because Michael got to pick.
Okay, so Jose goes first.
All
But what
right.
are we doing here? Brent's going to tell us what we're doing.
Oh, it'd probably help if I asked the question.
Yes,
huh?
yes, I was going to ask.
All right, guys. Christian McCaffrey is currently 18th on the Niners' all-time career rushing list. It's a good day to pick Jim. Today's question: can you name anyone else that's in the Niners' top 10 all-time rushing list?
Okay.
All right, I'm up first.
Who is this, Michael?
Well, Jose's
No,
up
Jose
first.
is up first.
I know. I'm saying who is speaking, Michael or Jose?
I'm Jose.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
okay.
All right.
Yes, Jose is up first.
Yes, Jose, you're up first. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you
Frank.
choose to use it.
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore
Top 10?
on the list.
I'll say top 1.
Top 1 or 2. I think he's 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is.
Michael, you're up next. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Roger Craig.
Roger Craig on the list. There we
All
go.
right, you might not want to turn to me for a lifeline because those were my 2.
Jose, you are up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Let's go with Roger Craig was going to be my next one, but Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Michael, you're up next. What is your next guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
JD Smith.
JD Smith
on the list. Mr. Niners over here. Okay.
Okay. Jose,
I like it.
You're up next. You need this to stay in the game. What's your next guess? You'd have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Garrison Hurst.
Garrison Hurst. Boom.
That's a good one. That's a very good name.
That was one of my lifelines.
Okay.
Michael, you could win it right here with the correct answer. You do have a lifeline still. What do you got?
All right, I'm going to use my lifeline, but I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
Joe Perry. Am I wrong?
Okay, hold on.
That's coming to mind.
Here, I would trust you over me because I literally have no idea, but I do. Tell me if I'm right here, Jim, in thinking this.
What?
Do I have the right name, or am I completely out in left field?
I'm not gonna answer this.
Okay, maybe I'll ask you afterwards. Then I don't have a name. I was gonna say there was a Thunder and Lightning duo with the Eagles, and one of them was it Garner? Later with the Niners. Am I way off base? Anyway,
I don't know.
Who'd you say, Michael? Joe Perry?
I'll go Joe Perry.
All right, Joe Perry. I have no lifeline. That's for the win.
That's for the
How
win.
about that? Boom, Joe Perry. Like I said, actually, Michael said it. Good job, Michael.
You were thinking of Charlie Garner.
Charlie Garner.
Yeah, he was on the Niners.
Charlie Garner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he was on the list, right, Brent?
He's 16.
Yeah.
Okay, but
He's
yeah,
there
so,
99
okay.
to 2000.
Do you have someone else, Jim, that would have been on this list?
I was going to say Garrison Hurst, but I was also going to say Ricky Waters.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking maybe
Garrison Hurst was my first.
Okay.
With the exception of one person.
Oh, I got
left
one
on the list.
I got one. Kaepernick.
No.
I got one. This is going to be.
Steve Young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Young is on the list.
Yeah.
He's number 9.
That's what I was thinking.
And then also, random name, but I know he played for them. You're going to be like, what? OJ Simpson?
No.
He was on the
talking
Niners.
about?
He was on the Niners.
Top 10 all time.
He played on the
Not
Niners.
for that long.
Dude.
Okay.
We're like so mad at
Ricky
you.
Waters. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's 40th.
Because there's
Really?
only one
Yeah,
season
so,
and they had like 14
OJ is
games.
40.
I don't know why I thought of him.
He was there for a whopping one season.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't have 4,000 yards rushing
in that
No.
1 year. All right, who else is on the list?
All right. Frank Gore is number 1. Joe Perry is number 2. Not the guy from Journey.
Yep.
Tom
Rod-
Rathman.
He was not on the list either.
Oh, what?
He's a fullback, dude.
Still rushed.
Roger Craig was 3. Ken Willard was 4. Garrison Hurst was 5. JD Smith 6. Hugh McHenry. I'm not saying his name right. He's 7th. He played in the 60s.
Oh.
Kevin Barlow, Steve Young, and then another name I'm going to totally butcher, Johnny
Unitas.
Sirkowski
Remember him, Jim?
from the 40s and 50s.
No, I
Mr.
don't.
Niners fan?
I don't. Barlow's a good name. I remember Kevin Barlow.
Michael, you've won a pair of tickets to see Janet Jackson and Nelly at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. This is June 6th. Tickets at livenation.com. Keep listening this week for more chances to win more tickets to that show. On the other side, Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers, the implications in the National Football League.
Mike
Jim's back
Shildt
page.
Aztecs basketball game, please.
Hour 3, Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Indeed.com. The breaking news in the NFL today: the Chargers have hired Jim Harbaugh to be their new head coach. It's a 5-year deal there. Moving over to the Aztecs. They beat Wyoming last night with a great second half, 81-65. Next up for the Aztecs, they got a week off before they go on the road to take on Colorado State. Hall of Fame was announced yesterday in baseball, and there are 3 new members that are going to be inducted: Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, and Adrian Beltre. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tools let you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit today.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We started the show talking about Mike Shildt sitting courtside at Viejas. We have since pivoted to Jim Harbaugh being named LA Chargers head coach. By the way, Colin Cowherd has chimed in with a graphic.
That's great. Did he make it?
I'm sure he's pleased.
This is the quote in the graphic because he's not currently on air, but of course you can hear him right here.
Greatest coaching hire ever.
Probably.
It just sounds right. Star head coach in Los Angeles. I'm trying to talk like him, but it's not working.
No, you don't sound smug enough.
It just sounds right. Star head coach in Los Angeles with an emerging young star quarterback. It's like a movie script. Colin Cowherd via his social media account.
But if it was a movie that took place in Idaho, no one would watch it because it would be horrible.
I wonder.
Only good things happen on the West Coast.
I wonder on days like today when you get those types of comments from, the national media, right? First off, whoever runs the Old Takes Exposed account, if it's just one person or if it's 2 people or if it's like a company, like a group of people,
okay,
right? Are they just sitting there and waiting for things like this and bookmarking them? Like,
that's my guess.
They must have a system. They have to have a system in place, and maybe they get it sent to them because they're so big now.
Probably. But so what are you seeing today, for example, from Old Takes Exposed?
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, things like that. That's a good bookmark.
Yes, because you don't know how this works out.
That's a very good bookmark, because I think one thing that Colin doesn't understand, because he never cared about the San Diego Chargers in the first place, is that Dean Spanos is very, very bad at being an owner of an NFL franchise.
So where Colin was wrong is this graphic potentially, is what you're saying?
Oh, I'm just like, whatever his open is tomorrow, which it will be a lot like that, and he's going to hump up the Chargers.
What's he going to do?
He's going to
do that.
Hype up the Chargers,
sugarcoat it,
and hump the Chargers.
Okay.
Because the Chargers were begging Colin to give them any type of time on his airwaves a couple years ago. It will be one of those. Save it and Old Takes Exposed. Now, you could say the same thing for me, who I put on social media. How long before Dean F's this up? You could definitely put that in an Old Takes Exposed.
Sure.
Because
or I'll delete my account if Manny Machado hits a home run, and then he hits a home run.
The next day, you idiot.
It was close.
It didn't have anything to do with my tweet.
What's the bigger, speaking of, you said the Chargers will never be whomever, and I'm with you, in their city, that, they're never going to be as relevant as some of these marquee franchises, obviously. When you look at the Rams-Chargers dynamic that will play out, how will that play out? I mean, the Rams a couple of years ago won a Super Bowl with Sean McVay. They were the story, free agent signings, trades. But now here comes the big bad Jim Harbaugh national championship. I mean, talked about obsessively by the national media over the last year. How does the Rams-Chargers dynamic play out even in that building? I mean, the Rams, they were the thing, but are they the thing?
No, the Rams are still behind the Lakers, the Dodgers, USC.
No, not even about that. I'm just saying Rams-Chargers.
Rams-Chargers? Yeah.
Not even about what's more relevant. Who's got a better chance of success?
Rams. At this
Rams.
point, I think Sean McVay is a better head coach than Jim Harbaugh. I think the Rams, if you look at their roster, are better than the Chargers. I think they have more. I think they have more flexibility with building a better roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the cap issues that the Chargers are experiencing.
Yeah, and I think they're a better run organization.
Well,
franchise.
that we agree with.
And
they just won a Super Bowl.
But the Chargers are the definition of tryhards. They try hard because they know that, hey, look at us over here. We're over here. And the Rams, while they had to try hard, know that they're pretty much the team event of LA.
Although I don't
They're
even know
pretty
if
much
that.
what was that Mad TV skit with Stewie? He's like, "Hey, look at me! Look what I can do!
Yeah.
Hey, look over here!
What did they?
Look what I can do!"
What did they push back on? What did they walk back when they moved? Was it fight for LA in marketing, or was there a certain logo? They initially unveiled a logo that they walked back, right?
Yeah,
The one that said lame.
The disaster.
and
logo,
there's some with Pink's hot dogs too. I remember.
Yeah, they walked back a few of the initial moves,
it's
and then since then,
a lot of revisionist stuff, and I get it, but looking at today's in the news again, blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, and you are the owner of a franchise long enough, you're eventually going to maybe luck into something that is positive and good. I mean, like look at the Lions. Like they were perennial losers of the NFL. The only other team that you could say is worse than them as far as losing goes is the Cleveland Browns historically.
mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they lucked into Dan Campbell or they lucked into all the moves they made in the draft, but like eventually at some point you would think that a team that perennial losers would end up having 1 year where they win.
So is that what? So we're saying then? So what you're saying there is it's almost like an inevitability. I mean, hey, if they fell into Jim Harbaugh, let's not even give them credit, but they landed Jim Harbaugh. Are you then like reconciled to the fact that they're going to win?
Yeah, honestly, I really do. I really do think that Jim Harbaugh, wherever he goes, he turns that program or franchise into winners. And it might take a couple years, but I do think at some point they're going to win. I don't think they can win a Super Bowl as long as Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are still in that. And, Josh Allen are still in the AFC, right? Yep. I don't even put Justin Herbert close to those guys. I mean, he's a talent, but still he's got to win. But, I think they're going to at least compete, and then it will end because something will happen and the Chargers will go back to being irrelevant. Like that's the cycle that's going to happen here.
It could play out that way.
The window with Jim Harbaugh will be where they become somewhat relevant in their own market, and they will eventually win at some point in time. But then it will end, and Jim Harbaugh will be gone, and Dean will F up the next hire, and the Chargers will go right back to being irrelevant.
It's so funny. I'm not even having the conversation about relevancy in market. And the reason I say that is the Chargers have proven they are the only example like in the history of American sports that prove you don't even have to have fans to be quote unquote successful. What I mean by that is this. They rent in a stadium. All the games are sold out, Jim. You watch them. I've seen them. There's highlights. It's not like there's 12,000 people there. Now, they might be Steelers fans.
Yeah.
They might be Niners fans, but guess what? Same thing happens with the Rams. Yeah. Exact same thing happens with the Rams. So the relevancy thing to me is kind of irrelevant. What matters to me is do they win or not? Like that to me is what's relevant, because in the NFL, there'll be a level of relevance. If they win the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter what people of LA think. They won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter really what San Diegans think. Then they won the Super Bowl. The question is, can they do that?
Yeah.
With one hire, can you really do that? We'll find out.
I think you can. It's proven that with just one hire, you can turn an entire franchise around.
It's true. It is true.
With any walk of any sport, right?
Right.
Any sport you want. Look at the Padres hiring Bob Melvin. I'm not saying it turned their franchise around, but 1 year in, they went to the NLCS.
Looks really good.
The great Mike Shildt, the greatness of Mike Shildt, because he went to an Aztec basketball game last night.
Right.
Could he eventually, in year one or whatever the case may be, turn this team back to the 2022 version of the Padres? Might be hard because you have no left fielder or center fielder or.
I think they will when the season starts.
But you get my point, is like one hire can definitely change a lot.
We'll see. All right, let's go to the phones if you want to weigh in. San Diegans, you're reacting. You're seeing the news. I mean, what's your first thought? Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. 877-767-4760. Cadillac John wants to weigh in.
New Raiders fan.
Man, Jon Jim. How you doing, guys?
What's up, man? Yeah, aren't you a new Raiders fan?
I am a Raiders fan, but my comment is that I think that Harbaugh is going to be not successful. My thought is that you can buy the best food and put it in a garbage refrigerator. This food's going to spoil. So you're getting caviar, but the fridge, the Spanos, they're spoiled. They're not going to win. They're cursed. I'm calling it. They will not win with Harbaugh. As much as I love the guy, they're not going to win.
Thanks for the call, Kat.
Yeah, thank you.
Good point. Like, do you cook at all, John?
Never.
Okay. If I gave you Kat, like John said, if I gave you the best ingredients in the world, like to make, I know you don't eat steak, but like a filet mignon steak with like truffles and foie gras and like
What?
Like risotto and
Who?
like just
no, I would eat the
lobster.
multi-grain Cheerios in my
like if I gave
pantry.
you all of these ingredients that were just amazing and I said cook me a meal, it would be a disaster.
Yeah, but here's the difference. Okay, here's the difference. Forget about, in this hypothetical, Jim Harbaugh has the assurance that Dean Spanos isn't interfering with his business. So
Probably, yeah.
Jim Harbaugh in this analogy is the chef.
The chef that's given the crappy ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not
and
the
makes
chef.
a 5-star meal of it.
I'm the guy that can't cook that hired the good chef. Say I have no cooking acumen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I just hired the guy that can cook.
But you're also, as kind of like John was saying, you're like Dean Spanos
in this scenario.
In this scenario,
right.
And the like 5-star gourmet ingredients are Jim Harbaugh,
right?
And given to you, and even
I still can't,
and you still F it up.
Okay,
it's almost like you have all the 5-star ingredients, but then they tell you to make it in the microwave.
Pretty much because they don't have the opportunity. Yeah,
you know, so it'll be okay, but it's not going to be as good as if you cooked it in the stove.
Yeah, here's a dull knife for you. Good luck.
But here's, I'm actually glad you said this because you're like, listen, I'm basically defeated in the fact or the idea that Jim Harbaugh probably will have success. You're not saying they're winning Super Bowls. You're saying, listen, I've seen it play out before. I think he'll have success, which I actually think is the unbiased take. Because what would we be saying today in San Diego if the Chargers were still here?
Oh my
God,
God,
this guy's gonna have a lot of. I mean, it would be over the top.
Just,
a home run.
The biggest home run possible.
Right. That's what people would be saying.
The oh my God, they actually did it move.
They spent the money.
The team that has failed constantly over and over and over again. Horrible hire after horrible hire, no name coach after no name coach. Finally spent the money on the big dog, on the guy that is a proven winner and a guy that is a culture changer. Yeah, that's what we'd be saying if the team was still in town.
And that's why I say, and again, we can all have our own reaction to it, and we might not like it, and I think a lot of people don't. But at the end of the day, and maybe you hate to say it, and I kind of do, it's just like if you give him 4 or 5 years, you kind of have to be okay with the idea that he's likely going to win because he's never not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was on shaky ground at Michigan a few years ago, and they stuck with him, and it worked out, obviously. They went 15-0. So, I don't know. We'll see.
I do think, though, the farther we get along and the farther we get along of them leaving town, like cowards, it still will suck if you're a Chargers fan if they end up winning, right? But it's also very easy to then just turn around and say, well, I can focus on what I actually really care about now, which is the Padres. Or if you're an Aztecs fan, or the new MLS team will be in town, or the Wave, or the Gulls, or the Seals, or whatever the case may be, you can pivot and say, I still have things that I can root for here, even though it still does suck to see that team and that owner
win,
enjoy success.
That's where it's a yes and no for me. You're right, because there's no other option. If you don't like the Chargers, because the second they left San Diego, they left you, and I completely get that. That's what we've said here, and that's what Jim's been talking about. I completely get it. But again, when the NFL leaves your city, it's a big hole. It's not like you can just go and make up for it because, well, we have this, that, or the other. If you were an NFL fan and the NFL turned its back on you, then like that's a void, I would think, for San Diegans. So, and I think there's a lot of hate watching, and people have enjoyed the last 7 seasons, the fact that they haven't won anything.
Mm-hmm.
They have basically been bottom 5, maybe franchise since leaving, bottom 7.
I also think a lot of people have moved on. Like there was a lot of that the first couple of years and of, watching this team to see them lose, but then it got to a point where they just continued to lose and everyone expected. And it was like, okay, I'm done with that.
Right.
But
what happens if they win?
Yeah. I am just now knowing that Harbaugh and the biggest name that you could go out and get for any team, right? If the Falcons did it or if the Bears actually were smart enough to do it. Brent, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This sucks. But knowing he's the biggest name and now that he's on the Chargers, in the way that some people in this town in the media act towards the Chargers, like it's going to suck that you're going to see a lot be written and talked about with this team in a light that you just don't want to hear.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You just don't want to hear it.
I agree.
You don't want to see every single column in a newspaper talking about the Chargers. You don't want to see, and forever, whatever you want to say from the old sports editor there, how many clicks you got. I would disagree on that. But it's just going to suck. Like, I don't care. I don't care about it anymore. And I think a lot of people feel that way. There's some people that don't feel that way.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, man, the thing is, it's all anecdotal. And we don't, this is I've said it twice this week. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? There are people that give you data that would tell you the Chargers are overly relevant in San Diego. There's other people tell you they're completely irrelevant in San Diego. Where's the truth? I don't even know. I don't know if it's in the middle or not, or if it's one way or the other. I really do not know, Jim. I'm being honest. I don't know how people watch, consume. I don't.
But you know what we're actually going to do, John? I think we're going to find out.
Yeah, we probably will.
Because
we may.
Yeah. And if this team ends up winning with Jim Harbaugh, which I kind of do think they will, because I think Jim Harbaugh's that good, then we'll probably answer your question a little bit or have a better way to answer that question going forward about the relevancy still in this town for that team.
More importantly, Mike Shildt was at the Aztecs game
way more importantly.
So the Padres manager, who's on like this world tour, he's touring more than Janet Jackson and Nelly. Okay, like he's been everywhere. Dominican.
He going to the Farmers Insurance?
Chicago, maybe. Dave Roberts was there today. I know you saw that.
I did.
So Mike Shildt goes to an Aztecs game, and kind of on social media, all hell breaks loose. Initially, I thought, like in a condescending, like jovial, joking manner. But this question, like a legitimate question, was posed throughout social media last night. Hey, did Bob Melvin ever do this? Did Bob Melvin ever support the community? Did he ever attend sporting events in San Diego County? And if not, I'm kind of Team Shildt, not Melvin. There was this idea out there. And I liked seeing Shildt there. I was there last night. It was terrific to see him. He got a standing ovation from a sellout crowd of over 12,000 against Wyoming. But that alone is not the reason why I'm on Team Shildt. I mean, Bob Melvin left. It's time to move on. Hopefully Shildt can have success. But this idea that Shildt is in the community and Melvin wasn't, I mean, that to me doesn't really have much to do with how you can successfully manage a baseball team.
It wasn't just that. It was that because Bob Melvin did not go to community events like an Aztec basketball game was a reason why the team didn't live up to their quote unquote potential the last two seasons.
I don't know if I saw those interactions. Maybe I missed those.
I was
That's
in
even
some
a
of
step
those.
further. Yeah,
I was in some of those conversations. I was thinking to myself, sitting there at 11:30 at night,
what is this?
In bed with Bentley and Aaron, like, what am I doing in life right now?
Right.
With friends on the TV, I'm like, what is happening?
Right.
Why am I getting involved in this? And why is this even turning into a thing right now? Because guys, listen to yourself. I mean, were people upset when the Padres made the NLCS in 2022? I don't think so. Like,
no.
Were people upset during that season when they won 89 games and made the playoffs by 3+ games and clinched with a week left to go in the season?
It was the best team in 25 years.
You made a trade for a perennial superstar, potential Hall of Famer in Juan Soto?
Yeah, it's interesting how people like have the revisionist. I mean, here's the deal. They went to the World Series in 1998. They occasionally had decent seasons, not beyond that, between 1998 and 2022.
Winning
and in
divisions.
2022, they won 2 playoff series and got to the National League Championship Series. Was it perfect? No. Did they win 99 games? No. Were they good? Yeah, they were. They were good for most of the year in 2022. And again, if you're looking at this from an unbiased perspective, 2022 was as good as any season since 1998. Yet we're just going to erase it because 2023 wasn't good. I said that a lot last year.
Yeah. How many wins do you think the Padres gained from Mike Shildt going to an Aztec game last night?
We're going to find out.
Like like a war for players.
We're going to find out.
Like what's Mike Shilt's war after last night going to an Aztec game?
Well, Vegas says 81, 82 wins right now. So anything beyond that?
Has it gone up?
No, they said 81.5. I think that's what Dan Zaborski told us.
So wait, hold on. It didn't go up even with
Oh,
Vegas
since
knowing.
yesterday, I haven't seen since
Even with
yesterday.
Vegas knowing that Mike Shildt went to an Aztec game and Bob Melvin never did.
Oh, maybe it has. That's a good point.
Also, do we know for certain that Bob Melvin never went to an Aztec game?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's also a good point. He may have.
Maybe he went and he just wasn't front and center.
Possibly.
That was one of the first things I looked up was about. I just searched on Twitter Bob Melvin at an Aztec.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Just to see if someone from a couple years ago may have posted something.
It's funny how people get so worked up with it. Again, it's Aztec games are incredible. You see a lot of San Diegans there, celebrities, San Diego celebrities, sports figures, the Joe Musgroves. We've seen Aztec players. We've seen Padres. We've seen Mike Shildt, and that's great. It should be celebrated, but again, not at the expense of someone else. Is what I would. Okay, but you know what? Bob Melvin, it wasn't perfect. So what? But 2022 should still be celebrated. Is the way I look. Why are we turning our back at 2022 as if it was oh, that was them. Now this is us. No, that was you guys. They were wearing Padres uniforms. That counts.
Yeah.
That they didn't move.
No.
Right? That one team.
You are hoping that this year's team is
Goes
2022, not 2020 or not 2021. Because guess what?
2022 is better.
2020 was fake. And that team, you posted on social media last night, if that was 162 games, they would have failed miserably because all their pitching got hurt. And then 2021 was a disaster because Tingler lost the clubhouse and there was a mutiny between the front office and the players. I don't want to relive those days. I want to relive days of 2022. Was it a struggle in that season at times? Yeah, they also got off to one of the best starts in franchise history.
They were awesome.
They
through 2 months.
traded for Juan freaking Soto and Josh Hader,
and beat the Dodgers in the
playoffs. I mean, every season supposed to be 115 wins and then walk your way to the World Series, or is it supposed to be a struggle here and there with a lot of winning, hopefully put in there, and then making the postseason and having a run? Are we just going to forget that, or are we going to look back at and say, man, that team was really inconsistent? I don't think I want to have it happen again.
It was a very weird conversation. A very weird conversation.
I don't get it at all.
All right, on the other side, more reaction to Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan for the Chargers. Plus, it could be worse. We could be talking about the Oakland A's. That's next right here on Jon and Jim. Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. That is a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments, or if you still have a mortgage rate in the threes, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now. Here's the number, 619-207-4336, 619-207-4336, or loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49% is 6.39% APR, subject to lender approval.
All right, this update's brought to you by Indeed.com. Chargers, they have their new head coach. It's Jim Harbaugh. Signed to a 5-year deal, moving over to the Aztecs. Last night versus Wyoming, they won 81-65. Next up, they'll take on Colorado State in a week from now on the road in Fort Collins. And the Hall of Fame announced its 3 newest members yesterday, Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, and Adrian Beltre. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tools let you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Text line 70470 started with team. Jim's back, page is ahead. I would say it's been an interesting show. Like, we didn't know Jim Harbaugh was going to be announced today.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I hadn't talked to Dean since at least it was 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Talked to him Sunday.
Now I'm kind of over it.
I know. So anyway, text line. Well, actually, not really. 703. Jim, haven't you been a Niner fan your whole life?
Okay.
Why so salty about Spanos? I mean, I hate him, but I've been a Charger fan for 35 years.
Well, you should understand this 703 number. Like, what? So I started working here in sports media in like 2014, I think it was 2014, 15 ish, right?
Okay.
And I started working Charger games, and the Chargers were still here. Or no, maybe it was sooner than that. Maybe 2012 ish.
Okay.
2012.
Great.
Started working Chargers games, did all that stuff, right? And like, I care about the city. I live here. I love San Diego. I want San Diego to succeed. I want the sports teams in San Diego to succeed. So 703 number, I wanted you to be happy as a Charger fan.
Did it for you.
Like, I wanted this town to celebrate winning, because if you get a championship in a town, it changes everything. You saw what happened in 2022 with the Padres, how close they were making a World Series. This town was on fire.
How about the March Madness run? How fun was that?
The Aztecs in the national championship game. This town was on fire.
Yeah, that was awesome.
If you don't want that for the city you live in, I don't know what to tell you. So
yeah, you did it because you were supporting San Diego.
The saltiness for Spanos runs from, he took that away from this town.
909.
So there you go.
909 says, I'm ready for San Diego FC at this point. 12 months until training camp is in full swing. I think they will actually start their 2025 season in February of next year. So they are 13 months away from playing. I do think 2024 will be a big year for San Diego FC. We'll get signings and all types of news, kits.
Yeah.
We've seen logos, obviously. I do think San Diego FC is a significant story. I've said this previously. Again, I don't like comparing. It's like, the NFL is the NFL. Right? You don't make up for it. That's not to take anything away from San Diego FC. I hope they're really successful.
Yeah. And just for us personally, I think I can speak for you here, John.
For me, Jim.
Like, we know San Diego FC is coming.
Yep.
But it's not coming for a couple years. And are we the biggest soccer people in this town? No.
No. It's hard for us to talk about the dynamics of it, but I do love talking like logos, signings, announcements, stadiums, like promotions.
And the closer we get to the start of it, you may start hearing more about San Diego FC. But at this point in time, it's like you said, until
13 months until they start.
We know it's there. It's just not our cup of tea as of right now. We're focused on the Padres and the Aztecs.
Speaking of bad ownership and Dean Spanos, what do you have to share from John Fisher, current owner of the Oakland A's, who, by the way, I'd read they weren't going to have any promotions this year, but then I saw on social media they do have 2024 promotions. They're giving out like 3 things. It's very
like a cat calendar.
It's very generic and bland. But John Fisher, what's happening in Las Vegas?
Okay, so hold on a second here. Pull this up. There was I guess like a convention or something happening, and
where, in Oakland or Vegas?
No, Las Vegas, and there was like an MC for an event in Vegas for a bunch of business people. And John Fisher was there, and the MC was introducing him and trying to hype up the new sports franchise in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas A's. Listen to the reaction from people for the Las Vegas A's.
Okay.
Let's give it up one more time for Mary Beth and John Fisher, please. The Las Vegas A's We like the sound of that, right, Vegas? Yeah? Yes? Are we alive back there, Las Vegas? How we feeling? Okay.
Maybe she missed the story that people are thrilled with the way this is all going down everywhere, not just in Oakland, but also in Las Vegas. It's been controversial.
You know how before seasons teams have like hashtags? We talk about it a lot here.
Yeah, like Friar Faithful, you're saying?
Yeah. Or take the cake. Or last year, Brent was like, what was it last year for the Padres, Brent? Because it was
Bring
this
home
year's?
the Brown or something?
No, because Brent had a good one. It was
we got what we got or something like
Oh,
that.
it is what it is.
It is what it is. We got what we got or something like that.
Right.
Well, the perfect hashtag for the Las Vegas A's is anybody alive back there?
Dude, seriously.
Like,
it's
it's perfect.
joke.
Is anybody alive back there? Hello.
Well, I feel like the person that was like emceeing didn't get the memo that like the A's thing isn't popular. This isn't right. This isn't the NHL coming to Vegas. It was wildly successful. This isn't the NFL. Now, that was controversial when they left Oakland. Make no mistake, but wildly popular in Las Vegas. You have to ask yourself this question. It's not Chargers to LA, but is Las Vegas asking for the A's? Like, is that the franchise they've been asking for?
No.
And clamoring for?
And we've talked a lot today about more than I expected or wanted to about Dean Spanos. You want to find an owner worse than him, or at least on his level, maybe a little worse than him? Just look no further than John Fisher.
It has not gone well.
Are we alive back there?
That is terrible.
I mean, that is the ultimate. Oh,
is it true that the stadium they're building or the ballpark they're building is not with a roof? Like,
I think so.
It does have a roof or does not? I think it doesn't because they're saving money. How can you not have a roof?
To have a roof in Vegas?
Can someone confirm that? I'm serious.
People are gonna die, dude.
I don't know but it's cheaper to not have to put a roof on it.
Dude.
Like, I don't know if there's seriously a full roof on the thing. I think there's like roofing, but I don't know if it's retracted. Maybe it is. Maybe I missed that. But I'm with you. How are you going to play day games? Even at night. It's 120 degrees.
Anyone alive back there?
It's amazing.
It was such a just reminder of, guys, this ain't going to work.
Probably not.
Because the owner's stupid and sucks and nobody in Vegas cares. Like, literally
and this
nobody.
Isn't the NFL. The NFL you can force home.
But you can force it.
But this is 80 games against the Brewers.
And the Rockies.
You know, on a Tuesday night.
Yeah. Like,
what do you got, Brent, on the
Are we alive back there?
Are we alive back there?
All right, this is from July 31st from Ballpark Digest.
Okay.
It says the Oakland A's have shifted the design of the new Vegas ballpark from a retractable roof design to a fixed translucent roof, which they said it will open. It's similar to Allegiant Stadium, where the Vegas.
Okay,
so
I was going to say you can't not have a
roof
roof on the thing.
And here's the other thing about the A's
Really? Is
relocation.
it hot in Vegas in the summer?
I've heard that. I've heard that before. One, they don't even have any renderings of a new stadium. They have no design besides what you just read there, Brent. Like that's their goal. That's what they want to do. There's no official anything when it comes to a stadium.
So when
in
are
Las
they?
Vegas.
And they're leaving Oakland within 1 year, right?
They're gonna go play it like
Reno. I read they might play in Reno.
AAA place or something.
By the way, the AAA ballpark. Speaking of like, you have to have a roof. The AAA Aces don't have a roof, so it's 120 degrees. I mean, imagine playing for the Las Vegas minor league team.
There is still, I think, a lot of questions if this is actually going to happen.
It's a good point. I mean, you're led to believe it will. But what year? When's it going to be ready? 2030?
I do think as time goes on and how little people just show they care about the A's coming to Las Vegas, I do think there will be a lot of pushback from Las Vegas to the point of like, we don't want them here because guess what? Then our tax dollars are going to go way up for a team that nobody cares about. And do we want that to happen? Do we want to pay all this money to create a stadium that's going to have like 7,000 people go?
Well, okay, hear me out for 1 second. I agree with it. I mean, I'm on your team here. But if this thing gets done, 35,000 seats, retractable roof, Vegas Strip.
Anybody alive back there?
You're right. I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm not
there?
saying they're going to draw 3.2 million fans, but like the Padres. But like, if you're a Padres fan in San Diego, and you've got that one series every other year in Vegas, like that's a series to attend, is it not? If you're a fan of the Angels or the Dodgers or the Giants, like West Coast teams, like aren't you willing to go to Vegas to see your team or not? And is that a draw alone? Like, Yeah, I
wanna
don't know how
make a
you sell
weekend out of it.
35,000 tickets just to Padres fans though in Vegas.
John, that's the A's. This will not. I am firmly confident in saying this, and I don't think this would be an old text exposed
Yeah.
thing at all. And I think they would even agree. They're going to be a massive failure in that market.
Probably true.
As long as John Fisher is still that owner.
But and now I agree with you, but hear me out. John Fisher owned them in 2018 when they were in the playoffs, in 2019 when they were in the playoffs, in 2020 when they were in the playoffs, in 2014 and 2013 and 2012. They've been in the playoffs more in the last decade than the Padres.
That's, to me, more of a Billy Bean thing than a John Fisher thing.
But again, it speaks to what we're talking about with Spanos Harbaugh.
That's a Billy Bean, Bob Melvin thing from the drafting and developing well in the organization. If you still look at the franchise's total payroll those years, they've been at the bottom of the league every single year that John Fisher's been their owner.
True. But I'm just saying, I'm making the point that, yes, you can win despite really bad ownership because they've done it.
Yeah.
6 postseason appearances since 2012 is a lot.
But also the owner is like actively
working against
trying to sabotage this team. Damon Bruce, who is a personality and has his own thing going on in the Bay Area, said it perfectly. It is exactly like the movie Major League. Exactly. The owner trying to sabotage the team to move them to I think Miami in the movie, to Miami, right? Wanting them to lose.
Oh, baseball would be huge in Miami. Imagine that.
So they could leave town. Now, obviously, that was a movie, and the team actually ended up winning.
That's my point.
Like you just made the point there.
My point.
But it's a little harder when the owner, and like in real life, when they're actively doing everything he possibly can to make sure that team loses.
And the last 3 years, they've legitimately been awful.
Yeah.
All right, Jim's back page. That's next. All right, we've got Jim's back page for you, and that's next. All right, Jon and Jim back with you tomorrow. Well, we're here again. Friday, same thing.
Every time you
Every
say
day.
that, you make it seem
Sound
like
it's in jeopardy.
we're potentially not going to be here.
You never
Like,
know. John.
well,
I don't know.
we're back.
I can't predict the future.
John could eat some bad tofu tonight.
Who's going to be on the air next week? You can predict what we're going to hear on San Diego Sports 760 next week.
Maybe I can predict who we'll hear next week on San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
And maybe that's a stay tuned. And
Stay
maybe that's a
tuned.
eyes emoji. Maybe that's a interesting.
Wow. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe there's voices that you're going to hear on the station next week that you might be saying to yourself, wait a second. What?
Maybe you just hear voices in your head. Sometimes I fall asleep or wake up and I hear your voice or my voice because somehow I'm listening to another podcast, but then it cycles through to an additional podcast. And all of a sudden I'm hearing hour 2 of Jon and Jim.
How many times a week do you fall asleep listening to a podcast?
All the time.
So every day?
No, but 4 days a week. You?
Yeah, probably 2 or I fall asleep and then I'll wake up.
Yeah.
And then
what am I listening to?
And then I'll put my phone, I'll turn it off and put it on the side.
Yeah, me too.
But I'll listen to it, and then there'll be a couple times occasionally where I'll wake up in the morning with earbuds still in my ear, and one of them fell out. It's by my foot somehow.
Yeah, oh yeah, that happens to me too.
I can't do that.
You can't sleep.
I need 16 fans on for the white noise. But
yeah.
if the TV is on, it will distract me and I can't sleep because then I'm pretty much watching TV and listening. I just need boring ambient noise. So
when you go to sleep at night, listen to us on a podcast. iHeart, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and leave a review.
Yeah.
If you miss anything from Jon and Jim, you can listen to the podcast.
Or watch us on YouTube.
You could do that as well. Let's get to this.
So you remember when Tiger Woods and Nike split?
I do.
That was about a couple of weeks ago. I think it was
last week. I think.
Yeah, maybe it was last week when it was announced that the partnership between Nike and Tiger was over with.
Right.
Which is, Nike and Tiger. That's it's an iconic brand with an iconic player. It just made sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it might have leaked where Tiger's going next, as far as a brand apparel company and what he'll be wearing now on the PGA Tour whenever he plays.
Is it gonna be the balls?
If he plays,
Is it gonna be the ball shoe?
What?
Remember the Ball brothers?
Oh,
LeVar Ball?
Big
Yeah, remember?
Baller,
Big Baller brand. Is it going to be BBB? What's it going to be?
Well, it's actually leaked. The new official brand and logo for Tiger Woods will be associated with TaylorMade.
Okay.
The new logo looks like a tiger.
Okay. That makes sense because his name is Tiger Woods.
And obviously the colors, for Tiger, the Sunday red and then the white. So it has not been officially made official yet because these are leaks, but it looks like Tiger Woods. If you're out there and you wanted to get some new Tiger Woods apparel whenever he shows up with a new brand, get ready to wear some TaylorMade stuff because that looks like the brand he's going with.
I'm ready. I'm very ready right now for that. What else do you have?
Tom Brady is having an autograph signing on March 1st.
Okay.
Where he will sign autographs on fan-provided items. All right. Guess how much the cost is, like a ticket to get Tom Brady to sign something for you. Guess how much that is to just get in the door to get an autograph from Tom Brady.
The way you say it and the money in the NFL, and $10K.
Brent?
How much to get in for an autograph from Tom Brady to an event?
$700.
$4,000.
I mean, I kind of get it. I'm not paying it.
No,
but I think he can get
it.
Is my point.
$4,000. The cost to sign a ticket.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The cost to write a 3 to 4 word inscription on a ticket. $1,600.
So wait, it's $4,000 to get in, then another $1,600?
No. Another $1,600 to have him write like
yeah,
love you, Jim, or good luck, Jim. Yeah,
that's a joke.
You have to add more money to have him write more, sign more on whatever this is.
Ugh, that's all I can say to that.
I would never, ever.
What, does he need a penny?
No. This might be, and I don't know what it is. If it's like, might be for it's got to be for a charity,
I mean,
right?
It should be. I
Well,
would think.
You wouldn't think he would need money because since Giselle made more than him,
right?
You would technically have to pay him alimony opposed to the other way around.
And he's also going to get a $300 million a year deal from Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
So
he should be good.
Should be okay.
Yeah. Does he need the $1,600 per autograph?
I don't put him in the Pete Rose category where he has to go sign autographs to get money.
No, I'm with you.
I put him in his own category where he can literally do whatever he wants and he's going to get paid.
Can I give you some quotes here from Jim Harbaugh?
No. Finally, me and Brent actually talked about this before the start of this segment. Exciting news, John.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds announced today the wrapping of filming for Deadpool 3. Which will be released in theaters in June. So
yes, that's the third one, John.
John's not listening.
I'm not.
So we have 6 months until Deadpool 3, which I think me and Brent can agree, and a lot of people will. The anticipation for this movie will be through the roof and has potential with the characters that are going to be involved to be one of the best Marvel films ever.
Well, it's the only Marvel movie that comes out this year, too.
Right. And it's the return of Wolverine. It's not a spoiler. It was announced.
Good segue.
Wasn't a spoiler.
For
I
Jim
don't
Harbaugh.
care about what Jim Harbaugh said.
When I played for the Chargers, the Spanos family could not have been more gracious and more welcoming. Being back here feels like home, and it's great to see that those things haven't changed.
Actually,
Jim Harbaugh in a statement.
You're not in San Diego anymore, John. Or
no,
Jim.
it's Jim, actually. It is Jim.
Great.
That is Jim Harbaugh today in a statement released by the LA Chargers. All right, if you missed anything today, like our conversation with J.R. Tolver or any of today's conversation, you can find it at sportssd.com, the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, please leave a review. Again, find us on social media at Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. We are back tomorrow at 3. By the way, Brian Dutcher show is tomorrow at 6 p.m. 1 full hour tomorrow night. Brian Dutcher show right here on San Diego Sports 760. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.